Is to review and approve minutes, and it appears we don't have any in front of us tonight to approve. Going on to our second item, signed bills. Todd, we have some bills in the file from Ecotech.
Yeah, you do.
All right, why don't you give it to Chris, and then we can.
Need to sign something?
Yeah, sign it. So,
All of us, or?
did you sign it, Chris?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
There's nothing to sign.
okay, just initial the last page or something. Pick someplace on it and sign it. That's approved. Okay, item 3, meetings and hearings. Our first hearing is a continued public hearing. It's regarding the notice of intent filed by Cypress Ave Development Partners LLC for the construction of 66 townhouse-style senior housing units with accessory clubhouse access driveway, stormwater management facilities, and associated site grading at 1 Greenbrier Drive and 255 Gulf Street. The applicant has requested that we continue this hearing until our next meeting, which is October 18th, 2022. All right. Moving on to our next continued public hearing. It's regarding the notice of intent filed by Michael LaRosa for the construction of a stone patio, bocce ball court, and associated landscaping at 102 Reservoir Street.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Scott Goddard, Goddard Consulting. Thank you for hearing this tonight. So we've been before you a couple times on this. The site plans have been a little bit challenging in the past to observe everything the commission wanted to be able to see, that Andy had requested to see. We've gone back and forth with the land surveyor and civil engineer to clean up the plans a fair bit. It's an outfit from out in Western Mass, so they're not too familiar with the plan methodologies used around here. And in addition to that, we worked with the applicant to reconsider some of the uses on the property to better improve the buffer zone. So to remind the board, I have 2 graphics here. This is what's there right now. On the back side, I have what's proposed. We have it clearly shown in color to help the discussion and facilitate it. I sent this color maps to Andy and Todd this afternoon so that you have these in your files. The contents of these is exactly what's in the submittal to you. So this is only colored up for the purposes of me presenting it to you this evening, okay? So this is existing house, the grass is existing lawn areas, the blue is the existing wetland edge, and the red areas are landscape zones. This is a shed, and that's a playground area. So this is a stone patio. The reason that we came in to see you initially was to do some reconfiguration of the backyard of the accessory uses of the single-family house, in addition to seek after-the-fact approval for some of the activities that were that were performed within the 30-foot no-disturb zone, buffer zone, that were not part of the original order of conditions. So after the house was built, the owners had done some, I'll call them encroachment activities within the close proximity to the wetlands. So we have documented those, identified those, and we're seeking to modify those in part and keep some in part. So this helps set the stage for our conversation. So for the 30-foot, the existing driveway was already approved within the 30-foot. All this lawn on the side of the house was approved within the 30-foot. Some landscape and lawn was approved down here, but what was not approved was the placement of the shed and the playground area. So this is what we're asking the commission to consider for approval. And I think we're at a point that it could get approved this evening, and it's consistent with the act and your local policy as well. So for reference purposes, I did add on here this green line. So this green line here is the originally approved erosion control / limit of work line from 2007. That's when the order of conditions was issued for this house construction. So the wetlands are here. This green line was the limit of work line, and the house was built and all. What they then did beyond that was added some landscaping here and here, placed a shed right here, which is at the nearest point 16 feet off the BVW boundary, and then the playground structure, which I showed you on the other one, was placed right in this area. So we had this encroachment. In addition to that, this stone patio, hot tub, stone walk behind the house, that was also constructed without part of the order of conditions. So we're seeking after the fact approval for the placement of the stone patio, because it is in the 100-foot buffer zone. The 100-foot buffer zone is more or less the entire lot. Okay, so the stone patio would be after the fact approval. We're asking for an approval to convert a portion of the side lawn, which is existing lawn, and within the 2007 approved limit of work, to make a small bocce court right there. That's part of our approval request. So it'll be lawn conversion to bocce court, which is like a sand pit type of yard activity. This landscape area, we're proposing to keep the same. We're proposing to keep the shed in its location, which again, so it's within 30, but it's 16 feet away from the wetland edge. So I think that's consistent with the policy not being part of the house structure. The landscape area right here would stay. And what we're proposing to do is to take the swing set, which is currently located right in here, relocate that to the far part of the property, which is on top of existing lawn, okay? And then all this zone right in here, which is existing grass / playground structure, use that as a buffer zone, restoration, revegetation area, sort of a renaturalization of this zone. So everything you see in red here is vegetated, native landscaping / buffer plantings in those zones. So at the end of the project, if it was to be approved in this fashion, what would be remaining within the 30-foot zone would be, of course, the driveway, and as it exists and was allowed to exist in '07. It would be grass / bocce on the side. All this red would be landscaping, and that would bring us all the way out to the 30-foot zone in the rear, okay? It would be a flattening, a little bit of grading to flatten the grass and regrass the backyard, which is currently grass. We're proposing to leave the shed in its location, sort of tucked into the forested landscape zone. Push the swing set out of this zone here, off to the edge, on top of existing lawn. Vegetate up to the edge of it in most part. And then this would be sort of a bark mulch surface, play surface with the existing swing set relocated onto it, and then restoration of this area. So a lot of work went into this, a lot of deliberation with the owner to get them to recognize that there needed to be some give and take in this process, an effort to create as much vegetated buffer in that 30-foot zone as is possible on this site. And he agreed to create this vegetated strip that separates the functional yard space from the woodland / BVW system. I think this is a good plan, and it would be my request that the commission would consider issuing an order of conditions for this, which is a partly after the fact and partly before the fact, kind of a mix of an order of conditions. So with that, I'll turn it back to the board.
Yeah, Scott, can you just talk a little bit more about the proposed bocce ball court?
Yes.
There, I know sort of close to the wetland line. I looked at the plan.
It is
I don't
close to the
want-
wetland line.
Like, if you
So
could give us some distances.
So existing, it's in this green grassy area, which is effectively like a side lawn. What was approved in 2007 was this green line here, as the limit of work, so it would stay inside of that or up gradient of the wetlands from that. The closest point we have here on the corner would be 6 feet in this corner, 12 feet on this edge.
Okay.
So yes, it would be in close proximity to the wetlands.
Okay, let's go to questions. Martha?
Scott, I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about the proposed replication area close to the play structure? Because when you were showing areas on your plan there, your hand went over it when you said landscaped, and then your hand went over it when you said replication.
Okay, sorry. So replication might not be the right word, or restoration might be a better word. So existing lawn / bocce area is coming all the way down into where you see this red zone right here, the brighter pink red zone. That's either lawn or landscape. It has a gentle slope from currently the back of the patio all the way to the forested line. The land kind of pitches, at a gentle pitch. It's steep enough that it's not sort of conducive to normal background play or throwing a frisbee. It's sort of an irregular shaped land surface. So what he would like to do, the owner, is to take the elevation that's at the edge of the patio, more or less with a gentle pitch, a very gentle pitch. Slope it out and relatively flat to the back, and then bring it down from about a 2-foot grade change from the edge of the lawn here to the limit of the forested lands here. So we would have a 2-foot grade change over the span of about that 10 feet. Okay, so that would be an area that would be not lawn, and it would be placement of native vegetation and ground covers to create a vegetated buffer. So the edge of the functional lawn would be where the ground stays flat. Then there becomes this sort of shrub screening edge, as it were, that would then lead down into the wetlands.
Okay.
So that would be the area. So we're taking, it's about 500 and change square feet of area that's current playground / lawn that would become now forested buffer.
And is it all sloped down to the wetlands, or does it slope and then flatten out, or?
Yeah, I mean, so everywhere that you see this purple-ish color, right, that's the existing undisturbed grade right now. So it has it has a gentle pitch toward the wetland. The wetland's lower than the non-wetland area, right? But it's, there's maybe a foot of grade change from here to here, something like that.
Okay,
It's
so
not nothing dramatic.
Lawn, slope, wetlands.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fair to say.
Thank you. Yep.
Jason?
Scott, do you know what the bocce court's gonna be constructed of? I mean, you said sand, but is it gonna be elevated, or is it gonna be right at ground level?
So my understanding, talking to the owner, is that it would be surrounded with boards to
Sure.
contain it, and then there would be sand placed within it.
Okay.
Whether that's slightly elevated or sunken into the grade, I'm not quite certain how that would play out, but
But there's gonna be a barrier.
there's a barrier to it, yes.
No further questions.
Ken?
Just to look at the shed, is there a reason why you couldn't pull the shed forward?
So the shed so the backyard is kind of tight in there. I mean, it's probably not impossible to shift it a few feet. My take on it was that it's been there a while. There is a healthy vegetated buffer to the rear of it of 16 feet at the narrowest and 19 feet at the widest. There's no activity taking place back there. It's forested with trees and shrubs and native buffer zone species. So the owner, in order to square this area off and have good traffic flow for lawnmowers and people and kids and things like that, wanted to keep it more tucked in a little bit like that. So I think it's consistent with the Wetland Protection Act, for certain, to have a shed within 16 to 19 feet from the wetland edge. But within your policy, there's some room for discussion there. I would like to leave it there and use the other landscape buffers as our mitigation, since the entire 30-foot along the back is more or less being restored or kept intact.
And how do you access to get inside?
So the lawn comes right up to it right there. So that little orange
So you come-
square is a little ramp that goes to it. So basically, the lawn funnels to the
Alright.
access ramp, and it's tucked there, it's nice, it's stable, there's no impacts taking place to the wetlands.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chris?
I may have asked this before, is the shed on a pad or is it on pilings? or-
They're on little pilings, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Okay. Just a question on going back to the bocce ball court. Is there another spot on the property, the opposite side of the house, where that could be better relocated away from the wetland? That 6 feet, when you're actively playing, is not much room to protect the wetland from encroachment over time. If it were to remain in that spot, I would like to see something like a stone barrier, our stone barrier that we usually use to delineate a wetland line when we think there could possibly be encroachment into it over
So a
time.
placement of a few stone markers at the edge of it. something
Well,
like
not markers, but, significant 3x3 boulders, so that 6 feet from the edge of the wetland to the edge of the bocce court would then become 3 feet clear, because you're gonna have a rock that's 2 to 3 feet wide, significant, and that just keeps somebody over time from just bringing fill out, making it a little bigger, because it's gonna be an active play area.
I think in my discussions with the owner, and, they're not here tonight to comment on this, but I have had lengthy conversations with it. This is the heavily desired location for that.
Yeah.
Because of the placement of the patios and such. So I think it would be reasonable to add a special condition for the placement of some down gradient boulders demarcating the edge of the bocce area. I would gladly welcome that as a special condition.
Is that something the commission?
Yeah,
would
I'd
Go
be fine
along
with
with the, okay. Todd, do you have any comments at all on this one?
No,
Nothing?
no, I'm checking Andy's
Okay.
comments right now.
Yeah, these would be rocks of sufficient size. We'll probably put a size in the order of conditions that said, 3x3x2 or something,
Yep, that'd be fine.
that somebody's just not gonna be able to push around.
Understood.
You all set? You all set? Okay. Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the hearing, Scott.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Will you be voting on it later this evening?
Yep, we will.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another continued public hearing. This one's regarding the notice of intent filed by Ann Morman for the construction of a deck patio attached garage addition and house expansion at 240 South Quinsigamon Ave.
Hello, Chris Adcock Architecture, Inc.
Kate O'Donnell from Ecotech.
So this is a continuation from our last meeting, about a month ago. Basically, we're providing more information, some architectural drawings to indicate patio area and deck area. That was the concern from our last meeting. So basically, we're showing some graphics, some 3D renderings, and some elevation sections. And
Can I stop you for one moment? Do we have the plans for this they should have a number of plans in there that we can pass out? It's hard for us to see from this distance.
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah, should I bring it closer to you?
No,
Those are a
if
little
we get,
tiny,
if
too,
these
but-
are gonna be up to date, they should be fine.
They're quite large, just so you know.
These are the new plans here?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
did with this cover letter dated September 13th.
Yes, what about it?
The plans I'm handing out.
Yes, those are the revised.
Okay.
Is it big?
Yes.
It's a little
The turquoise, bluish turquoise section is the detail of the patio that you guys requested.
Which one again?
Yeah, the bluish color
Up
Yeah.
here?
at the top.
Yeah, it's at the,
Okay.
Yep, and you can see the patio is proposed at an elevation of 366-1. And there's going to be stairs on the back of that terrace down to the grade below the proposed patio.
and there's some elevations indicated there with the existing site contours. The 365 line dives right into the patio on the left-hand side as you're facing the water, and then the bottom step is pretty much the 364-4 elevation. The white sections are steps.
Yep.
And the area under the deck stair is no patio.
So this is the patio is a patio on grade, basically, with a couple feet elevated above the
Yeah.
yard? It's
Yes.
like 368 is it, looks like, and then on the top of the patio, and then grade looks like it's
Roughly.
366?
Yeah, like
Am I
21 inches.
Am I reading that right?
Yes.
360.
So we're.
Yeah, there's a 2-foot drop, there's two patios, there's one's 2 feet lower than the other
Okay.
side.
And the lake is off to the top of the plan?
Yes.
Yes. More than 30 feet away, 39 feet.
How much, 39?
About, I think 37 to, I think
37 feet.
that's what I said.
Okay. So this work is for the patio and what else is in there?
There's a,
Hatch garage addition?
yep, there's a garage addition, a house expansion addition, and a porch. All of those are about 50 feet away, and they're all within existing developed areas, including the existing impervious driveway and some lawn areas.
So you're taking out the carport? There's a carport?
Yes.
Taken out. And then going away from the lake, the proposed garage is going in that location,
Towards the street.
towards the street.
Within the driveway.
All right. And the house expansion is, what does that entail again?
That's 6 feet forward from the existing house. That's a proposed kitchen and stair to the second floor. The garage is in front of that.
Is that where it says proposed porch, is that, or is that?
No, the expansion's to the east. It's also within the driveway, but the garage addition will be in front of the house expansion.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see it now,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's on the second page.
And there's some
Yeah.
additional drawings in the next
Yeah, the next
too.
page has 3D rendering.
Okay, so essentially, you're saying the closest you're coming to the water is
37, I think it's in the application. It's more than 30 feet.
yeah.
Should be on
Yeah,
there.
it says 36.8, it looks
Yeah,
like on one
approximately
here.
37.
So
Yes.
say 37 feet, and in terms of changing grade in the back, there isn't much grade change, or?
Just to make the patio level. And the stairs will match the grade below it, so no grading below the patio.
Okay. And I notice you have your straw wattle,
Yes, at the no disturbance.
going across.
Mhm.
All right, let's go to questions. Martha?
The bluestone pavers, those are flat on the ground, and they're pervious?
Yes,
I,
with a spacer.
thank you, that was my question.
The spacer, whatever need be, like 1/2 inch or,
Are you doing any groundwork to have special soils that will help absorb?
like a gravel, a stone, crushed stone
Yeah,
to support that and,
Yeah.
drainage through there.
okay, all right, that's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Jason?
No questions.
Ken?
All set.
Chris?
Gutters on the addition?
Yes,
Water going?
they'll just they'll just float down. Most will try to keep everything up front.
Right.
It's not gonna go into the ground.
Okay.
How is the gutters being?
Toward the front.
They are gutters, there are gutters on
There's
there?
gonna be gutters on the house, in the roof.
Okay, but no recharge on the gutters?
No.
From the rainwater? No? No recharge, like
It's
do an
gonna go in the
infiltration?
ground.
They don't go into the ground.
They don't at the current time,
They don't at the current time.
and they're not going to with the proposed additional
They're not
work
going
either?
to.
Like a infiltrate it or
No.
dry well,
No.
I think. Okay.
No.
Is there anything in the storm regs that would trigger requiring that?
How large is it? How big is this site?
It's,
Is it
Quarter
larger
acre?
than a half acre?
What's that?
I'm not
Larger
sure.
than a half acre?
No, it's a quarter acre.
Okay, so the stormwater is half acre, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
What's that, Todd? Half acre lot, is it go by lot size?
I believe so.
So if it exceeds a half acre,
Then you'd have to pull, you'd have to go through Vincent and do a stormwater report for this site and do infiltration, all that sort of stuff.
right, okay. Yeah, we've seen, I know we've seen a lot of houses, even on smaller lots, that have had recharge. I'm just wondering, especially on the lake, it's easy to recharge, to just throw in a, basin to take the water. But, I can't quote any reg right now on that.
So we have this existing, that is existing.
The one question I have for you guys is, will you have your straw wattle going across in the silt fence? And you have some construction going up the sides of the property too?
Turn it up.
Would you be carrying that? It looks like right now it just runs to the side property line, it doesn't carry up.
We can carry it up.
You have to carry it up?
Yep.
So you're not migrating stuff onto
Sure.
anybody else's property there?
Could we condition that in the,
Condition it?
yeah, can we?
Yeah, we could condition it. We would condition that the erosion control
Yeah.
be carried up the side property line to the extent of the new work.
How far would you want that carried up?
As far as the new work goes, so where you're doing any disturbance of grade,
Okay.
okay? How about let the roof leaders go? Okay, does anyone from the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? Okay, I don't hear any. Todd, did Andy have anything further to say on this one?
Not for this site.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we have, we were wondering about potentially adding a recharge on the gutters to increase the amount of infiltration.
Okay.
Would you be amenable to that?
I believe would be okay with that.
Okay.
Jeff Bailey, one of the property owners, along with Ann Mormon. I think we may try to capture some of it for gardening and watering as well. So, we'd be amenable to, we're not wanting to lose the water, so that'd be fine.
That's what we're trying to go after.
And this yard is pretty much sand to begin with, so, right now, the water rolls off the driveway into the backyard, the water comes down from the gutter, and it pretty much absorbs unless it's a very, very heavy rainfall before ever getting to the lake, so. But, capturing as much of that would be fine.
Okay. So a rain garden, rain barrel, something
Yeah.
like that, okay. All right.
So we would condition that, Martha, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You all set then? Okay, Todd, did you have anything? Nothing? Okay. Hearing no further questions, we'll close the hearing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. down. All right. Todd, do you have the folder for 223 on Sigerman Ave, the next one? We have some drawings we can pull out of there,
Yep.
pass around.
You want me to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, well, Martha, why don't you read the legal ad, please?
Okay.
And I can actually open it up to probably the most helpful page for you.
Or you can just send it around and we'll figure it out. We have a new public hearing. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that the town of Shrewsbury, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury, has filed a notice of intent for the construction of a new boat dock system, including both moored and floating docks, along with an ADA-compliant walkway at 223 and 237 to 239 North Quinsigamond Avenue. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, August 16th, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury. It is now September 20th, when we were doing this hearing.
Doug, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Doug Alward. I'm representing the Town of Shrewsbury Engineering Department on this. So for a long time now, the Donahue Rowing Center has been in need of additional boat docking spots for crew coaches to access the water and moor their boats. Currently, as it sits, they have to walk down the natural slope, undisturbed slope, just brush and dirt, to get to the boat dock that's existing there. It's currently a floating dock. It's actually a few feet into the normal water line. So they have to not only go down this steep, dangerous slope, but also kind of step through the water to get on the existing dock, which is also in a state of disrepair. This project would create more spots for mooring boats and provide a much safer and an ADA-compliant access route to the docks. It's also going to, in our opinion, protect the shoreline from erosion better than it is now, because people won't be walking down that natural slope, causing pathways and erosion and dirt to get down all the way to the shoreline. Essentially, as it sits now, they're just disturbing the natural landscape, getting down to that small dock that's there, and it's really not an ideal situation at all. So our plan for the project is to add a new dock along the shoreline, south of the existing dock, the bigger dock, and then get rid of the small dock for the crew coaches and place this new dock. It's going to be about 115 feet in length, and it's going to be anchored by helical piles, which is, in our opinion, good because it's going to minimize the disturbance into the shoreline using piles versus big concrete piers or something like that. Also included in the project is an ADA-compliant walkway, 6 foot wide by about 250 feet in length, which is going to run from the existing pavement area behind the DRC building, down the slope in an S pattern to the entrance to the new dock. This walkway is also going to include a new van accessible parking spot pretty much right at the entrance to the walkway. We also plan on doing this project after the yearly drawdown of the lake, once the lake's completely drawn down, because that's going to give us enough room on the shoreline where we can get equipment in there and drive the piles in and install the dock without having to be in the water at all, completely on dry land. Usually that annual drawdown starts around the 1st of November, takes about a week or two to complete. So the work would be done after that. And with that, I'll open up to questions.
Martha?
I guess I have a couple of questions. One is about the use of the ADA walkway. Does that mean people carrying boats will have to walk down that long ramp, or how will that be used?
So the dock will primarily be used for crew coach boats, which are motorized, metal boats. So those would be launched off of the boat ramp, not carried down. The current system for the actual crew boats would stay the same.
Okay. The other question that I have is this dock, which looks beautiful, covers 115 feet of the shoreline. What would be the impacts on the shoreline of having that dock? Would there be any, is there space for the water to do what it needs
Yep.
to? Would it be protecting the shoreline?
Yep, so with it not being a floating dock, it'll be anchored with the piles, which the center rod of the piles will be pretty thin, so that's all that will be contacting the surface. I mean, the surface of the lake bed. And then the dock will also be high enough above the water where it can flow normally under it. It's not gonna be at normal high water level, it's gonna be above that.
And in drilling the piles, do we have to be concerned about sediment that's removed?
The tailings or whatever.
The
they call it.
tailings, yeah.
I think when they screw in, I don't think there's a lot of dirt that comes up. I don't believe so.
Yeah, it's just kind of a one-shot deal where they just screw it in till they actually use like a pressure sensor or torque sensor to make sure, and they'll go down as far as they need to get whatever pressure they need so that it's anchored properly, and then they just stop and cut it to whatever the level of the dock being anchored on it. So in terms of actual like disturbance of the lake bed, it'll be pretty minimal.
Okay, thank you.
And they won't really be removing any sediment.
All right. Good.
Jason?
No questions.
Ken?
What's the ramp made out of?
It's gonna be concrete, or pavement,
It's a concrete ramp,
not concrete, paved.
paved ramp?
Yep.
What about, any of the runoff, or where is that going to be directed?
Is it asphalt?
So that's all, we're going to grade, our plan is to grade the slope and put essentially grass there. As it sits now, anything that lands on the slope, the parking lot itself isn't gonna change, so that's already graded to keep it away from the slope. And then anything that lands on the slope as it sits just goes directly into the water. I think if anything, our grading will kind of direct it to stay on the slope with the S shape of the walkway. I think if anything, it's gonna decrease the amount that just runs off straight into the water.
Do you know what the materials for the dock decking are made of?
I believe it's going to be metal.
Is-
Wood? We have details of that, don't we? We have a detail of it in the drawing, including the piles and all of that.
Is it on, this isn't on the plan?
I don't know if it's in that set of plans, but I can bring it up if the board would like
Will
it.
it allow light to transfer through to the shoreline?
Only within the cracks of it, not,
Mistakes.
it's not a see-through material, no.
Erosion control.
All right, and one more question. It says docks by others. What is the configuration of the dock?
Are you talking about the fingers coming off of the main dock?
Correct. Yeah.
That is not in this current scope of work, but it's something that we put on there to show that it could be done in the future. Those would be floating docks, not pile-driven. But that's just to show that it's something that could add floating docks in the future, just for the ability to add more in spaces. But as it sits, we're not gonna install those right away.
Okay. So would you come back to us if you install those docks?
Yes.
Chris?
Kind of continuing with what Kim was saying, is there any way you could put some type of rain garden area or some type of discharge area where the water that's coming down the S ramp could be captured
Yeah.
and held for a little while before it gets released, a basin of some sort?
Yeah, I think we could do that, and I think another way to solve that issue would to possibly be to change the material of the slope. You know, if we had certain sections that were rip-wrapped or something like that, it could allow the water to settle, like I think it's going to.
And you may not know this yet, but the helical piles, are you going to be using like a Bobcat type machine, or they have one that you can stand on to use? Can you use that, or?
Yeah, I believe it would be those machines that look pretty similar to the drilling machines, you know, about the size or a little bit bigger than a Bobcat, yeah.
Okay.
Because our idea is that with the lake fully drawn down, we'll have plenty of space from the normal shoreline to the drawn down shoreline to just come right along that path. do the install and work our way out and only stay right there.
It's like 24 or 30 piles, right?
Yeah,
It's a lot.
yeah, it's quite a few, but it's only 2 rows.
I do have a detail of the dock. If you want, I can put it up on the screens.
Sure.
You all set, Chris?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Doug, on sheet 5, you have a section of the decking and the ramp and the float, and it shows the helical piles. It also shows the existing steel piles, it says, and it looks like the decking pretty much backs up to the existing steel piles. And when you say piles, is it steel sheeting that runs the length of the shore? A little confused by, I don't know if you have your sheet 5.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but my understanding is that it just runs along the shore to anchor the old dock.
Yeah, if you want, can you come up here to the desk here, and I'll just show you, because it looks like you're really not on the shore at all with this decking. It's, see the way the grade comes down?
Right.
And then it says existing steel piles, and I'm thinking like sheet piling
Yeah,
that runs
exactly.
along parallel to the shoreline. And then here's your new decking starting here, and here's your your helical piles. So basically, your new decking is not even affecting the shore at all. It's over the water. It looks like there's almost 6 inches of water under this decking.
Yeah, it's not gonna be touching the normal, the average shoreline.
Right.
It dips down maybe 6 inches to a foot.
Okay.
It won't be mounted on that directly.
But you're covering the shoreline.
Covering what will normally be watered, yes.
Well, not the bank. He would be covering basically water, 6 inches of water.
Yes,
So
just
it's the,
water.
if you want to call it the shore, it's the lake. You're in the shallow part, right from the bank. If you go to can you see sheet 5 on your?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
And so really, this decking isn't affecting the bank at all.
No. When the water's at its normal level, it will be completely,
Correct. When it's drawn down, then you're gonna see some dry land on.
then it'll be pretty much entirely dry under it, yes.
Right, under that, in the drawdown section. But I was just confused by the term here, the steel piles. It almost sounds like they're individual piles, and I'm thinking steel sheeting running the entire.
One of the drawings did have the sheeting. I think it said sheeting.
There is some existing sheeting there. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly where it is.
Yeah, I mean, they're using the word piles versus, I like to see the word sheeting, it makes it clearer.
They're existing sheeting, see?
You show the line.
Existing.
Okay, so where does the dock actually, it would have to be down in here, Ken, because this dock, I mean, these are,
So there's the helicals and there's
Yeah.
the sheeting.
it would have to be all
So
along here.
it's on the shoreline and
Yeah.
then over the water.
Yeah. All right. All right, so you got the,
Yep. I can zoom in if there's any place specific you'd like to. Not like,
So will all the existing docks, the wooden docks, be removed from the lake?
Yes, not the one to the north, that will be staying. The one that's actually in decent shape. I believe you can see it on one of the plans. But the one that's in the same area as this one, the small one that the coaches currently used, will be taken out, yes.
And the aerial shows some other docks stacked up along the shoreline. Will those be removed as well?
The one that's kind of a trapezoid U shape, that will be staying. But the single finger ones will be gone.
All right, but on the aerial that he's bringing up now, is south, there are a number of wooden docks on the shoreline. If you want to come look at this picture, you're looking at, you can,
Yeah, this will be done.
and then
That's the one that the coach is going to use.
then there's some others stacked up. Will those be taken out? No, the other south.
South of that one,
South of that
sticking
one.
out,
Oh, right
go,
here.
yeah, down in there.
If it's DRC property, yes.
That's all town property, even next to it's conservation land.
Yes, my understanding is everything from here down will be removed, to be replaced by that.
All right. So are we all set with questions? Martha?
I'm concerned with the impact of the shoreline. I mean, you're covering the entire shoreline with a dock. It's not just 10 feet wide, you're covering 150 feet. How long is this?
115.
115 feet of shoreline. It's covered.
But like we said, it's, when the water's at its normal level, it's directly on top of the water. And actually, as John had mentioned, spaced out a few feet or a foot from the normal shoreline.
Have you done any studies or anything like that to see what the effects of the shoreline or the water would be?
We've done a stormwater report for the impervious area, but not for the shoreline itself. No study for,
Have you done any, so there's been no studies on how it would affect any of the wildlife or anything in that shoreline water?
no. So we have the helical piles, so that minimizes the stuff under the water line, in the water and in the lake bed. And then the lake bed is pretty much all gravelly rock there. So I don't think that the dock would affect that too much in ways other than sunlight.
Correct, that's what I'm getting at. What are the effects?
I do
Probably
not know.
help the fish actually grow.
The shade.
Because of the shade.
Yeah, it would help
It-
fish.
It will help fish.
The
Usually
the
small.
decking, can you help us understand what that would look like? Are those going to be single boards? Are they going to be tightly matched, or will there be space between them, for example, to allow rain to drain through?
Yeah, there'll be like a standard deck, a small space between them, maybe half an inch, assembled like a normal deck.
I think we should see more detail on what the decking material is going to be. You don't have that, you don't have what the construction of the decking is. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know what that is.
What is
What
it,
is it?
Todd?
So it's gonna be wood. I'm just gonna,
Pressure treated 2x12.
So it is wood.
all wood, pressure treated unless otherwise noted. Then we, so spruce, pine, fir, select structural beams, spruce, pine, or fir for joists. So,
Pressure treated, okay, on the lake.
Totally depends on how they're pressure treating, with modern.
I thought modern
That
pressure
should be
treated
okay.
was changed, 'cause it used to be arsenic, didn't it?
Right.
And that's been completely illegal, because with railroad tracks, you can't even bury the old
Right.
wooden things. But current pressure treating is not, it's not the same
Copper?
thing.
Copper arsenic, I think.
Copper
I could look
arsenic?
it up.
Probably not arsenic,
I don't think they agree with the arsenic.
no.
Is that typical what you see on the lake? Is it pressure treated?
There's some. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the materials are composite. They use a composite
Yeah.
type material, or they use a graded material with some light and water can get through.
Right.
Alkaline copper quaternary. Copper azole.
All right, is this the only permit that you would need, Doug, to get the construction of this in with the Concom? You don't
Yes.
have to go to anybody else to,
Nope.
solely on us?
You don't have to go to Army Corps or anything like that for being in the water?
No.
All right.
Ken, did you want to have some more discussion on the decking
Well, I
itself,
mean,
material?
yeah, I'd like to see something
Study.
that would allow more light to penetrate through, but if that's what's designed, I mean, I guess it's acceptable.
What would your thoughts be on a composite, like the composite used for docks?
Something that would, yes,
In the same style as the decking, where there's a space between every, 6-inch boards with a space?
well, there's different types of dock coverings. I mean, there's grading where it allows more light and more water to get through. This is, it doesn't allow for much penetration of light or
But if
sunlight.
you have grading, don't you have to have a metal frame to kind of, I don't think you can put grading within a wooden frame, can you? The design the town has is, well, the design, the town outsourced this to a separate company because it's just not within what the town would normally figure out.
Usually the composite does require an aluminum frame. So that would likely have to change.
The composite's gonna be more than pressure treated too.
Yes, that too.
Right.
All the
Also
composite will
quite
get
heavy.
us is away from any chemicals being infused into the wood. I mean, that's what composite would buy us.
It wouldn't change the amount of sunlight
No, it's
penetration.
not
No, that
gonna
would
change
stay the
that, because it's laying out to the same dimensions as the wood.
Mhm.
And the only other option, if you stay with wood and you wanted to get away from pressure treated, is they do have some of that. I'm not sure the specific wood type, but there's something from the south that's used for outdoor play area type stuff that's weather resistant and holds up very well. It's a decking material type stuff too. I'm not sure of the cost on it though. But if pressure treated is acceptable, I wouldn't object to it. I mean, just not knowledgeable enough. And I'm hoping the town has checked into that too, to make sure it's amenable with, safety and water quality. But-
Are you scheduled to go to the Lake Quinsigan Commission as well?
I don't think we have it scheduled yet, but we do plan to.
You should go before you start any work, because they're gonna wanna see what's going on the lake. You're in the water,
Right.
technically.
Yeah, the only reason I bring up pressure treated is I know I go to a transfer station in Maine and they accept all wood except pressure treated wood. And if it's pressure treated wood, it has to go through a separate scale, get weighed, and it gets charged out at a certain price. And it doesn't matter whether you bought the wood, last week.
Right.
They just say it's pressure treated, nope, can't go in our normal wood pile. It's gotta go into the special wood handling category, and they charge you versus it being free if it goes into the other one. So it just raises my concern a little bit about, they obviously see some kind of a hazard with it.
Right.
And we're talking,
There are other tropical hardwoods that have similar rot resistance to pressure-treated wood.
Mhm.
They are going to be more expensive. They are sustainably sourced,
Mhm.
or you can get them to be sustainably sourced.
Like Epay or Ironwood or something, yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are usually
Teak.
pretty high
It's
maintenance
very expensive,
too.
yeah.
Yes,
They have to be stained a couple times a year and whatnot.
correct. The teak definitely does.
Yeah.
But iPay doesn't. And that's what we use on our boardwalks.
How much
Oh, okay.
versus the pressure treated is it gonna cost though?
More,
Right.
definitely more,
And the town's paying for this, so.
right.
it's-
And if it takes
Well-
maintenance, or, staining or something like that, the intention would be, this is not coming out of the water. So if there were gonna be staining, it would be staining over the
Over
water.
the water.
Yeah, no, I think
Right.
you want to avoid anything that needs to be stained.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so how do we want to leave this?
I'm fine moving forward.
the pressure treated right now?
It's a lot safer than what's there right now. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not willing to push the town to pay twice as much to put in a dock for 150 feet of lakewood signal.
No, I mean, you just don't want to do something that's not going to help water quality either, you know, that's sort of
I also don't want anybody falling off a metal dock, smacking their head,
No.
and cracking it open on stone,
No.
seeing that lawsuit. So,
All right, so, anybody in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? I don't see any. Do you think we have enough info here tonight? We'll close it and I don't know if we can condition it at all to say that, you know, it has to be certified, the wood has to be certified usable for use in
aquatic use.
aquatic use in over waterways.
yeah.
Leave it at that. So maybe there's better pressure-treated wood versus, you know, more aggressively pressure-treated
There-
wood. So let's get the best stuff we can get.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do that.
Okay.
They're
we can
currently
condition
like,
it.
the EPA has about 6 different methods for pressure treating wood that are
I think I
modern.
found the same website, I
Yeah.
was looking for it.
So
Okay,
some of these
good.
might be better, you're right.
Okay, so we can condition it then. Yeah, you feel good with that, Ken?
Yeah, it's a condition that they remove the old docks and
Right,
they attend the lake consignment.
right, okay. Oh, that sounds good. Okay, hearing no further questions, we'll close the hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And you did your abutter notifications, correct?
Yes, we did, yep.
Okay. Okay, Martha.
Okay. We have a new public hearing. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Preetha and Sanji Batai Bayal of 4 Claremont Circle, Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, have filed a notice of intent for the construction of a patio at 4 Claremont Circle. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 PM on Tuesday evening, September 20th, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
Hello, good
Hi.
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Sanjeev Badavial and
Preeta. Andrea Kendall with LEC. I don't know if it's possible, I have paper copies of the exhibit plan to share, but if it's possible to bring up the PDF, I don't know, I do have it on screen. I could give you my computer to.
Yeah, I can, if you want, yeah. You might not even have to bring it over here, if you just grab the cable. Do you have an HDMI? Well, we're gonna find out. I think they intentionally put a long cord in there to,
You wanna figure that out, thanks.
HDMI.
I don't know.
Yes, you
Oh, I
have
do.
it here.
But I will also pass along the plans. This is an after-the-fact notice of intent application for the installation of a patio in the rear yard at 4 Claremont Circle. The patio is about 450 feet, square feet. And it is installed off of the rear second-story addition. It is, I delineated the wetlands back in July. We GPS located the wetland flags, and they're depicted on the plan. There is a stone wall that separates the yard from the wetland and very narrow fringe of an upland area. So at its closest, the patio is about 19 feet from the wetland boundary, and the majority of it is within 25 feet of the wetland. The rear yard is very level. If you wouldn't mind going to the last 2 pages of the PDF, there's some site oh, I can do it. I'm forgetting this. This is too funny. This is an image of the patio from the driveway. It's very level. There's an existing walkway that leads back to the stairwell of the second-story addition, and then from there, it was constructed. Another view from the lawn looking towards the house and the patio. Grades of the backyard didn't change. And here's a view of the existing stone wall and more of a remnant split rail fence, I think, that was installed when the house was constructed many years ago. The wetland boundary occurs on the right side of the stone wall, generally coincident with the tree line there. And this is the relic split rail fence and my orange flag right there. Any questions on what was constructed?
Martha?
What is the patio constructed of?
It's a stone,
Paver,
stone paver.
stone paver,
Let me see if I can get a
stone or concrete paver, yeah.
And do the pavers abut each other tightly?
Yes.
They do, okay. All right, I'm all set.
What's that? Jason?
I'm all set.
Ken?
All set.
Chris?
I'm good.
So Andy's comment for this site
Yep.
is you might want to consider installing permanent markers at the limit of the disturbance to prevent future intrusions. So it's a BVW. The type of a barrier, if necessary, would be determined by you guys, by the commission.
Yeah.
There's a wall there. though.
There's already a stone wall.
It seems that, yeah, in the relic split rail fence, which seen better days.
And thank goodness there is a stone wall there now, so
Yeah,
that's
there's
the
the stone
physical
wall.
barrier.
I'm not seeing anything
Yeah.
more that we could add.
Look, there it is.
Yeah.
That's a barrier.
Yep.
Yep.
Anything else, Todd?
Nope, that was the only thing in the memo.
Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing?
In the back?
Yes, can you just come up to the mic and state your name and address, please?
My name is Philip Sickless. I'm an abutter of 4 Claremont Circle, homeowner as well, and abut the wetland in question. I do have some content I'd love to share. I do have paper copies if I could pass those out.
Did
Go
you
ahead.
say your address, sir?
2 Claremont Circle for the record. Maybe if you could share, I want to be able to have it for everybody. Sorry.
Yeah, we can share.
Great, thanks.
No, actually, the board is more important.
Great, thank you.
Does Chris have one?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks again. So as an abutter of 4 Claremont Circle, again, living it and owning 2 Claremont Circle, numerous concerns about the encroachment of the wetlands. First of all, it's important to understand the encroachment of these wetlands has been occurring over 3 owners of this house over 22 years. I've lived there since the development was constructed in 2000, and over the years, I've seen each owner destroy those wetlands and move the the area in the back of that house further into the buffer and into the wetlands. What I'm showing you on the first page is from the DEP website of the area in question. And most specifically on the second page, you can see the wetland area in question. I'm questioning the closeness of that wetland to the rear of 4 Claremont Circle. Again, on page 2, you see 2 Claremont Circle, 4 Claremont Circle, and 8 Claremont Circle, where supposedly the green represents the boundary outlined by the DEP. There's also a culvert that drains that wetland under Amherst Road, and that culvert is occasionally blocked and occasionally is overloaded in significant, moderate to very, very heavy rain. So just wanted to keep that in perspective. And if we go to, well, move forward to page 4, where we show the pictures from the rear of my property. So my deed has an addendum where I have to maintain the buffer line shown on the slide. By the way, this is April 12th, 2022, where I have to maintain the buffer line shown there, specifically the bushes and the tree line, per the addendum I cited when I purchased my home. If you follow that line over across the property into 4 Claremont Circle, and you turn the page, you'll see that yellow line is where that rock wall was originally when that home was built in 2000. The first owner pushed that rock wall into the wetlands, and if you orient yourself on the picture, that's over to the right. You can barely see the edge of that rock wall on the right-hand side. The fence that was discussed was also there in front of that wall. That fence or post fence was pushed at the time by that first homeowner, sometime in the mid-2000s. The homeowner also filled in that land. That represents pretty much the buffer, and once again, I'm questioning the actual wetland line, and my feeling is that it does encroach into the wetlands itself. So that homeowner, for some reason, I don't know if it was deeded, sold the house without any inspection or any recourse on the work that they did. The second homeowner purchased the home in 2009 and then proceeded to further remove trees from that area in 2020, September of 2020, and fill in that area again and seed it because it was continuously being flooded. It's wetland, it's going to flood. As a matter of fact, in 2010, during March of 2010, a 4-day torrential rainstorm, which this area was declared an emergency, a federal disaster area. That water passed that buffer line that I showed you at the rear of my house. And this is before the extended encroachment of that wetland. So my core concerns here are, now we're building on top of it a patio. Additional runoff, again, is going to tax that wetland. That area was filled in with no silt barriers. That wall was pushed, and there was no remediation on the vegetation and the trees that were there. I'm asking the commission to look into this further. My concern is, especially in the winter, which our neighbors haven't seen yet, when ice forms on top of that water and you get a January thaw with heavy rains potentially, there's nowhere else for the water to go. That culvert under Amherst Road blocks up with snow and ice. So the water backs up. So I'm concerned that the hydrology has changed. There's significant runoff being added now with patios and other work that's occurring against that wetlands. And I'd like to understand what the impact's going to be on my land, because I've seen what happens when you have a 100-year event, weather event, potentially creating significant flooding in that area.
Yep.
So I wanted to express these concerns. To some extent, you know, I understand with the new homeowner wasn't aware of this, and I question why, if this was deeded like mine was, I'm not sure, why wasn't it inspected? I mean, when I sell my home, fire detectors, CO2 detectors, my chimney's inspected, and I know I signed a document saying that I protect that wetland. Just doesn't appear it's being protected.
Yeah, just to address that comment, when these homes were built, there was an order of conditions to allow the building of it, and that gets recorded against your deed. I think you're aware of that, obviously.
Yes.
The original homeowner.
Yes.
And once the work is completed satisfactorily to the conditions in that order of conditions, then the town issues a certificate of compliance, which again gets recorded against the deed. And that says everything was done in accordance with the plans approved by the town. Beyond that, the town isn't going out checking, every property transfer of that property that things have changed. I mean, the work was approved as done in accordance with the order of conditions. So it's a one-time shot. And like you said, that doesn't mean people don't come and fill the wetlands after they've, moved in. And I would like you to just to come forward here. I'm a little confused by your drawing. If you can show me where this wall you think has been moved out to, that I think this one best represents the area. This is your lawn in here, right?
Yes.
And then it sounds like the stone wall, the original stone wall was here, and then is this where it's been pushed back, this
Yes.
line in here?
So the wall that is in the picture
Right,
now
right, where am I?
is right there
is
where that arrow is, yeah.
Okay, so what you're
If you
claiming,
follow that sight line
Yeah.
straight, that's where the wall was.
that's where it sort of went across like this.
Yes.
And you're saying now it bowed in like that, and
Oh,
trees were
absolutely.
removed, and this was all fill area?
And that's all fill, yes.
Okay, gotcha now. Okay. Well, that's not good, if that is accurate. So, you want to address that, Kate? Have you seen any evidence of?
I didn't really see any evidence of that.
Yeah.
The presence of the post rail fence, that's original to the property construction, so that leads me to.
He's claiming that wall, as we're seeing it, is I'm not saying, how long have you lived in the house?
Last April,
So, you're not saying these people did any filling, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, it's the prior, the owners
Correct,
prior
yeah.
to them who would have done this.
Right, both prior owners.
Yeah, two prior owners would have done it. Yeah.
Could you point out on your map where the rock wall is? Is it where the white line is, or the white dotted line? Yeah, the existing stone wall, that's what
correct,
that is.
yeah.
Okay. I don't see how it could have been much closer to the house than that.
Andy's gonna have to look back and see what happened.
Gonna have to compare it.
You do,
You can't ignore that.
Yep.
because it bows out.
That's the wall.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's a lot.
Now, if you follow that from the edge of my property, right about where that cursor is, right over to, right about on the driveway side, that sight line is exactly where that wall was,
So
along with the fence post, or the post fence.
So
But
you're
if you-
saying from my cursor down to about here?
No, over to the left a little bit more.
Oh,
Right there. Yes,
it all went, the
yes.
tree line?
Yes, because you could see that on the DEP map, that wetland is right behind that house.
So I will add, if the chair allows, the DEP wetland mapping is just for informational purposes. It's not, it's something to give a guidance, but on the ground review is what's required to
Right,
confirm.
I know, we wouldn't go off, but
I understand, it's not scientific.
yeah, it's plus or minus quite a bit, so.
I will say that the post rail fence that we saw in the previous picture occurs about here, and, this is where it ends, so, so the stone wall and then the post rail fence continues up here. These are the new property owners, what might have happened previously. I didn't see indicators of wetland plants that were encroaching within the lawn. There is a slight topographic break between the stone wall,
I know.
the upland vegetation, and then it goes down into the wetland. So that's not what I was
think
observing.
what we'd have to do is, I'm sorry, is it Andrea?
Yes.
Andrea, I'm sorry. What we'll probably have to do is take the plans from the original orders and see if we have any offsets to wetlands from those plans. And then try to recreate what happened over time here.
If there was a change in tree canopy, it could have been a buffer zone impact versus a direct wetland impact. If the lawn has expanded, perhaps it's just the upland buffer that has.
Right, but if it's, if we're seeing a wall that was basically a straight line wall across on the original home plan that was,
True.
it's gonna raise some flags, but,
Yeah, I don't have internet, unless I can get internet access, I might have some of the old plot plan from years ago.
I think if you can do a little research on this,
Yeah.
we definitely wouldn't be able to close it tonight with that kind of an outstanding question.
Yeah. But
Okay.
again, I mean, these are activities done by the prior property owner, so.
I realize
yeah.
that, but still, it's something we have to look at.
So here, I don't know if this has any bearing, but this is from the assessor's map that shows the stone wall coming and then curving. This is exactly what occurs today. I don't know the origin or date of this base plan from the assessor's office. I don't know if that's something that you might be aware of, but that's akin to what we're seeing in the field today.
All right.
On the aerial.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a comment, unfortunately, Andy, our town engineer, isn't here tonight.
Yeah.
And he did make a comment about formalizing that wetland line with markers, so there might have been something he was a little suspicious about. So, not quite certain where he was going with that, but.
Yeah, he indicated to me that, some permanent barrier or something, or boundary, just so to prevent any further encroachment.
Yeah, which I'm not certain if he realizes, maybe he knows more than we're aware of in terms of encroachment.
Andy visited the site, or visited my home.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He
Oh,
visited
okay.
my home back in April.
Okay, so he was out there looking, yeah.
But I can't say he was out there, he was on my property.
Yeah,
Right? So,
okay. Which was next door.
next door.
Yeah, I
Right,
got you.
So, and, any movement we made on my property, or thinking about even just trimming the trees that were along that boundary line that I showed you, always consulted Brad,
Yep,
right?
That's the right thing to do.
you know?
Yep.
So.
Okay, well, I thank you for bringing that up to us tonight, and
Thanks for the opportunity.
definitely we'll have to take a look into it.
Okay.
Okay? Do we have any other questions or comments on this hearing tonight? All right.
I know the engineering, I know we have access to Near Map, which has aerials. You guys had talked about this in the past meeting. If you can give me a minute or two, I can see how far back I can go for that site for an aerial, if that would help.
That might.
I don't know how far, it's
Yeah,
just.
I'm not sure exactly if that's gonna be enough, Todd. I mean, ideally, I'd like to see what the original order was for that. you
That's
know.
fine. I'm just,
Retrieve that document, and that would basically really should really clarify where that line is. Again, the aerial's gonna give us, we're gonna have to interpret from the aerial, you know what?
Sure.
A little hard to do that, staring at it from a few thousand feet up.
Yeah, I don't have, I just have an old plot plan.
Yep. All right, well, we got a lot on the agenda tonight. We're gonna have to move on to some other hearings. So, Andrea,
That's the next one.
would you be requesting a continuation tonight till our next meeting?
Yes, I'd like to request.
Okay, so this hearing will be continued until our next meeting, which is going to be October 18, 2022. Okay? Thank you, guys. Sorry about it. I know you didn't have anything to do with it,
No worries. Thank you.
you know.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is just well, I'll bring it up later.
You ready for the next one, John?
Yep.
Okay. We have a new public hearing. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Elizabeth Johnson of 8 Claremont Circle, Shrewsbury, Mass., has filed a notice of intent for the construction of a play area and associated mulch at 8 Claremont Circle. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 20th, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
Hi, Andrea Kendall again with LEC, Elizabeth Johnson, homeowner at 8 Claremont. This is an after-the-fact notice of intent application. I have been, Ms. Johnson, before the commission previously to discuss the play area that has slightly encroached within the wetland. I had reviewed previously the wetland line and sort of the plan of action on some of the remedies. This exhibit plan shows the existing mulch play area, play equipment surrounded by a little plastic enclosure, and then the light yellow is stippled area is where sand had been placed, and then the blue hatch shows some of the encroachment within the wetland. Little bit of a some of the area I wasn't able to, within the play area, dig down and determine the extent of wetland, but based on everything, all the other indicators and the former delineation, this is the impact area. As discussed, the sand is going to be removed. In fact, it's largely been removed. There's a little bit of scraping that we need still to do. And that area will be restored and planted with a line of high bush blueberries to kind of demarcate the wetland so the kids don't go play in that area. There is a note where there's this yellow stone, there's this yellow stone wall along this area here. Along the southern portion, this is more of a substantial stone wall. And then previously, before the sand was removed, it looked like there was some smaller or larger rocks, smaller boulders that were placed here. When Elizabeth started removing some of it, it looked like there's some pre-existing boulders in that area. Originally, the scope was to remove all of it, but I just want to review that with the commission or Andy in person if that makes sense. This exhibit plan was labeled in error. This southern section, the intention was not to remove that stone wall. I have some photos of what it looked like previously. This raised garden bed has been removed. This sand has been removed, and I will pull up some photos of what things look like currently in terms of what, oh, that's not the one I wanted to show. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. So this is an in-progress view. These, the sand has been dug down. Some more still needs to be removed. But this is just what it looks like. Some of these larger boulders were there. She had removed some of the ones that she had added. So that's removed to date. I don't know if this is. Of course, this is all going to be subject to Andy's final inspection once everything is complete. Are there any questions on this?
Martha?
No.
Jason?
I actually have a question. Sir, when you bought the house originally, was there a stone wall going up the entire way on your side of the street, on the side of Claremont? I'm just wondering about, because this stone wall seems to be on your property too.
So the stone wall in question and the stone wall that is being viewed here is the original stone wall.
That went up,
Movement
okay.
occurred on the 4 Claremont Circle property.
Okay.
So as a reference, the stone wall being referenced here is part of the same stone wall.
Okay.
So I
But
just have the Marshall Estates plan that showed, I can probably pull the date, but this is 8 Claremont, part of their lot. This is the stone wall that separates their property, and this is the area where the play mulch was added in. Directly in here. So this is a stone wall that I said that on the plan was incorrectly noted as being going to be removed. So we're seeking just to leave some of that relic stone wall pieces here in place.
Thank you.
All set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Ken?
All set.
Chris?
I'm good.
Todd, do you have something?
So Andy's comments are the same as for the other site about putting a barrier in.
Okay.
Boulders?
The stones there now, right? If she uncovers the stones will be the barrier, I thought.
There's a wall, the wall's there, right?
That's-
And basically, it was just, she had modified it up to the wall.
Right, so take it back, the wall's back, right?
The wall's back as the barrier, so what else would you put? You know, unless you put a split rail fence or something, or put arborvitae, but I think
I think it's good.
that's good as it is. All right, is that it, Todd?
Yep.
Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? All right, I don't see any, so we'll close it. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have a new public hearing. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Stately Homes, Inc. of 31 Galair Circle, Holden, Massachusetts, has filed a notice of intent for the construction of a single-family home and associated site work at 16 Greenbrier Drive. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 20th, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
Hi, my name is Michael Votruba. I'm here on behalf of Stately Homes. I guess a quick overview of the plan here. We have a single-family home, driveway, and
Mike, can you give us a second? Can we get
Oh, yes.
drawings on this
I'm
one?
sorry about that.
Todd, do we have drawings?
Yep. Sorry, I was just checking to make sure it was the ones that is the most up-to-date one.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
I just want to make sure those are revised date, July 15th, 2022.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Andy's got it in his memo. That's the plans he referred to. That's why I was just checking before I
Okay.
handed it out.
Perfect.
Let's go to the next one.
So, single-family home, driveway, we have shown the septic in the front yard and an infiltration unit to the side of the home, under the driveway that captures water from both the roof runoff, pretty much all, impervious area on the site, runoff, as well as the driveway. This is actually already gone through the stormwater permit process. It was issued a stormwater permit on March 30th. But we are here as part of the notice of intent filing.
You all set?
Yeah, I guess if there's any questions you'd
All right.
like to discuss or go
Martha?
over.
How are you going to mark the edge of the buffer zone? So that,
I see that was a comment from Andy, is that?
Yeah.
Yes, I see that as a comment from Andy. I believe we would be amenable to that. Did you ask Mark?
given the hearings that have just come before us.
Yes. That's- So
we-
a stone marker, something of that nature.
Okay.
I think the client would be amenable to that. I'd have to check with them, but I think if we wanted to condition that, I think that would be fair.
So, might be a term, but in Andy's comments, he was suggesting putting it in the 30-foot zone of, permanent barriers should be installed along the 30-foot zone to prevent future intrusion into the BMV. So not actually on line, but he's suggesting it in.
Mhm.
So 30 feet in from the resource, so basically the wetland flag line, 30 feet from that inward, then put.
That's what he's advising.
Again, what would we be talking? We'd be talking large boulders probably to delineate it. That would be permanent. That's one way we've done it. Otherwise, anything else, split rail fences disappear
True.
with time. And
3x3 boulders.
so we can discuss it, but we would require, we'll figure out something to call for on that line.
Yes.
What else, Martha?
I was just wondering forgive my ignorance, the 60-foot wide drainage easement, what is that about?
So that's I believe when this project was originally developed, that piece of land was put in as a drainage easement for the properties that are adjacent to it for runoff, and I think this predates some stormwater, things that occur now, but when the project originated, that was an easement intended for storm drainage.
Okay. So that's an area where there should be no intrusion,
20 scale.
no building.
No, yeah, there would be no building, because there would be no building of any structures. I think, depending on the intent of a specific drainage easement, swales, things of that nature
Mhm.
could be utilized, but we stayed out of it
Okay.
in this case.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Jason?
I'm all set.
Ken?
I'm all set, but just maybe considering maybe we put the boulders on the erosion control line.
Mm.
That'll stay out of that
Yep.
easement.
Yep, yeah, 30 feet just from the wetland flag line puts it just about at the erosion control
Yeah.
line, and it's outside of that easement, which is probably, like you said, a no-bill zone for the drainage, you know?
Yeah,
So
That would be
it's
it.
pretty much everything's lining up nicely that way.
we have that line on the plan. If we want to utilize that line, it would make a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
might
sense
be,
for us.
that might be the easiest one to do. Anything else, Ken? Nope. Chris?
I'm good. Thank you.
Todd, anything
Okay,
else?
so Andy's comments are the 100-foot buffer in the 30-foot no disturb zone should be shown on the plans. Were they? What's the date on this? 9/14. And the 50-foot buffers line should be removed. He has a comment about the permanent barriers. He also notes that there are several mature trees on the site, and none of them are shown on the plans. Limited site clearing should be clearly shown on the plans.
So the site is predominantly forested. The limit of work is going to be the erosion control line. We do show a 50-foot buffer. We are not showing a 100-foot buffer on this plan. What else is there?
The 30-foot
The
no disturb
30-foot
zone.
no disturb zone, I guess, is not demarcated on this plan.
Are there any mature trees within the limit of clearing?
There are pines on the property.
One of the survey marks looks to be in the front, the BM nail and tree at the elevation 80.43.
Yes.
Is that tree to remain?
I do not believe so. Would we be looking to clear? I believe that everything in this erosion control is intended to be cleared for the site and grading and.
I'm Stephen Gallo from Stately Homes, and with the size of this lot and all the work that we're doing, we've got a driveway, a septic system, grading, a house, stormwater management, so, yeah, everything pretty much from the back buffer zone forward is gonna be taken out. So,
So when you're talking, are we talking from the erosion control line, basically?
Yes, forward
Yeah.
towards the road would be.
Toward the
clear.
road would be clear.
yeah. And just to make a comment about that drainage easement, it was part of the original subdivision from the 70s, and it's just it's some kind of a swale, treatment swale or something like that, that used to do things like that back then. I've run into them occasionally.
Okay, John, I'm all set.
Anything else, Martha, on that?
Thank you.
Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? Are we all set to close it then? Feel comfortable?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll close the hearing.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Is this something you'd be voting on later tonight as
Yeah,
well?
it will be.
Thank you.
Yep.
Todd, can you put this,
In the
these
public
pictures
record.
for that, for Claremont, so
Yes.
Andy can see that, 'cause
Do we
that
write
kind
it
of
on
shows a
Oh,
comparison.
this one too.
Do you want,
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, let me put- you want
Do you want the?
Oh, you already got
I
one,
gave
just
you
put
that.
one, okay. But you'll collect them all. All right, Martha.
Did you get a copy of that?
Just make sure.
So that would be, yep, that's 4 Claremont.
Okay.
Which is right here.
We have a new public hearing. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Mag Re Holdings, 800 Turnpike LLC, of 777 Washington Street, Newton, Massachusetts, has filed a notice of intent for the partial demolition of an existing building, construction of a new building, and associated site work at 420 Boston Worcester Turnpike. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 20th, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue.
Do we have the applicant here? Huh. Nobody called in, Todd?
Let me just check to see if I got an email from Andy. Okay. So remember how we were talking with Andy up in my office about 2? Andy notified him of the wrong address.
Well, this was the one where it was advertised as, in the agenda as Hartford Turnpike.
Yeah.
But did we notify them that we were postponing it at all?
Yeah, Andy did.
Oh, Andy notified him?
Okay, yeah, Andy notified him at 4 o'clock.
That it was gonna be pushed off? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, because,
Sorry, there was a lot of stuff going back and forth.
no, I know. All right, so we've opened it, correct? So we might as well continue it. So we'll continue this hearing until our next meeting, which is October 18th, 2022. Yeah, and the reason for this continuation was there was a discrepancy in the address between the legal ad and the agenda. And rather than risk a person not having an advantage to come in tonight, I guess it was decided to shelve it for another month. Okay, the next one, Martha.
Okay, so are we still going ahead with Grafton Street?
We
Looks like we might be.
should be. Okay, good. Yep, looks like we
Okay, so
got
I'll read
it
it.
tonight.
Okay. We have a new public hearing. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Adam DeLuzio of 494 Grafton Street, Massachusetts, has filed a notice of intent for the demolition of an existing building and the construction of a new single-family home and associated site work. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 20th, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
Okay, Vito Colonna with Cornerstone Engineering, and
Adam DeLuzio, 494 Grafton Street, Shrewsbury.
Mary DeLuzio, 494 Grafton Street.
so we're here for construction of a new single-family house on the existing lot. So this is the existing conditions right now. It's just under an acre, it's 0.9 acres. There's an existing driveway up off Grafton Street, and then the existing house sits basically in the center of the lot. There's a pool out back with a concrete patio around it. And then there are wetlands to the bottom part of the page. They run basically right down the property line. They're just off-site. They're delineated by Goddard Consulting earlier this year. And it consists basically of a BVW with a channel intermittent stream running down it. It flows in the easterly direction towards Grafton Street, and then it enters a drainage inlet right on the edge of the road. is a catch basin with an inlet on the back side of it where the flow goes into the catch basin, goes under the road and discharges on the opposite side and keeps on its way. Eventually it gets down to Bummett Brook, I think, maybe 500 feet or so away, a little more than that, maybe 600 feet down away from the site. Right now the backyard and side yard is essentially cleared up to this kind of darker green is the tree line. The backyard is fenced in up to that limit of clearing. And then for the proposal, it looks kind of very similar to the existing conditions, where the existing house that's there would be taken down and a new house constructed in essentially the same location. The footprint is a little bit bigger, but it's in the same spot as the existing conditions. The driveway would get relocated just somewhat. Real at the top would keep the bottom portion in the same location, same curb cut, same grading down there. It would just get the top would be reconfigured to work with the house and the new garage. We've included stormwater management to infiltrate the roof runoff. We did do some soil testing up there. There is relatively high groundwater, so we do have to have a shallow infiltration system. We had groundwater at about 2 feet down, so there is high groundwater in that area. We have erosion controls along that down gradient edge and along down by the street to kind of control any sediment that may be generated from the site during construction. There wouldn't be any new tree clearing. That limit of clearing along the bottom, limit of lawn would remain as it is today. The big mature tree in the front, that would stay, so there's no real tree clearing removal as part of the construction. Andy did have a couple comments for us in his review. One of them was just specify the straw wattles would be 12-inch in size. They come in two sizes, usually a 9 and a 12, so it'd specify a 12-inch. He asked us to label the 30-foot buffer on the plan, which is shown in this yellow. And the other one was to show the construction entrance, which we showed kind of up in that area. Essentially would use that existing portion of the driveway during construction, and just at the end of it, wherever it gets demolished, that's where they put the stone construction entrance in. You'd want to leave that paved apron off the street as a stabilized entrance as long as you could. But I think those were the only comments that we had from Andy, and I did update those. I emailed them over to him, and those are the copies of the plan that you see before you. I think that's all I have. If there's any questions, comments.
Martha?
I'm all set, thank you.
Jason?
I'm all set.
Ken?
All set.
Chris?
Good.
I got a couple for you. You're connecting to town sewer.
Yes.
Are you going by gravity, or you got a pump up?
Gravity.
Going
Yep.
by gravity?
Yep.
The old septic system, I see it noted here, but are you crushing the tank in?
It was already abandoned. We just hit that during one of the test pits. We found an old leach field. There's no tanks or anything out there. It's just an old leach field that we found when doing some of the test pits out there.
There must have been some kind of you just don't go with your solids straight into the leach field, though. That wouldn't
Yeah.
last, but, so there's gotta be.
It would have been abandoned when they were able to hook up to sewer. So it would have been abandoned
Okay.
long ago. It was an old
Okay,
system.
I see what you're saying. So the house as it stands right now is
It's on
connected.
sewer.
So that is,
We just noted it so when they're building, if they hit some pockets
I
of
get
stone,
you.
they'd
I
know what it
understand.
was.
So that's nothing you're abandoning under this
No.
current construction. Okay. And I don't see anything else. All right, Todd, anything?
So Andy's general comment was that you'll need a stormwater permit for the site. You addressed the 20-foot buffer should be removed and replaced with a 30. You addressed the wattles being 12-inch diameter minimum. You're showing the construction entrance. There is a comment here about the wetland report from Goddard Consultants refers to a local bylaw. The town of Shrewsbury does not have that bylaw at this time. And then the final note was notification of abutters, which you addressed with individually handing out and getting signatures today. And I did check the list of abutters versus the list of signatures that you provided, and they match up.
Okay. Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? All right, I don't see any, so we'll close the hearing.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oops. Start folding here.
Hey, Bob. Bob was
do that.
We'll go in the file.
Road LLC.
Okay.
There's no DEP number on this?
Take that. I need to get you guys out the next set.
On which one?
Coming one, on Boston Turnpike.
Yeah, that's true. We can't close it tonight. Thanks, Martha, for
Okay.
calling that one out.
What was that?
And I'm wondering, the town one doesn't have a DEP number either.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, you
Well,
ready?
we'd have to hold it, yeah. On the town one also doesn't have a DEP number, Martha. Go ahead.
We have a new public hearing. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that 658 Boston Turnpike LLC, 118 Turnpike Road, Suite 200, Southborough, Mass., has filed a notice of intent to develop a site for a car dealership, including the alteration of wetlands and construction of 2 wetland replication areas at 658 Boston Turnpike. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 20th, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm James Tatro from Azimuth Land Design, here representing 658 Boston Turnpike Shrewsbury LLC, the applicant and the owner. And what you have before you is a proposal for the construction of a car dealership on this 12.6 acre site. It's on the southerly side of Boston Turnpike, bounded to the east by the emergency access for the South Meadow condominiums, just beyond that of which is the Madison Place apartments. Bounded to the south by South Meadow condominiums, bounded to the west by a few different abutters on Cherry Street, Chipotle, Salas and Ramos, and Duhamel, also with frontage on Cherry Street, and a couple more abutters on the north side, I guess you'd say, Limoli, Young, and the business at number 630.
Okay. James, before you go too far, did you have your green cards all?
Yeah, actually, we did a registered mail notification to all the
Okay,
abutters.
so
I just handed
you've
to
got that. And did you get a file number yet?
Actually, this is one question we were going to get to later, is we initially filed this in February and received a file number. We withdrew that filing and then refiled now. And I was going to ask Andrew if he was here, but maybe you would know the same question, is would we still be working under that file number given in February before we withdrew? Or would they assign a new number? They have not assigned a new number.
Yeah.
The question is, would we work on the same project?
Right, right. I mean, I would guess it would be a new number. If once you withdraw, I think that sort of kills the application. That would be my guess, but I'm not certain, so you'd really have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because where I'm going is, we can't close the hearing tonight, you understand that, until we do have a file number.
Correct, I
Okay.
understand.
All right.
Anyway, so again, this is a 12.6 acre site. It's comprised of 3 different parcels from the assessor. It is in the commercial business zoning district. This is a use by, not this is sort of a planning board issue, but it's a use by right car dealership in this zoning district. And what you have right now for topography is that, first of all of this site is wooded. And right now, right up here where a driveway would come off of Route 9, the elevation is 548. It drops down to about 520 here, rises up to 547 at the high point of the site, and from that local high point, the grades drop off in all directions. To the east towards the South Meadow Emergency Access Drive, to the south towards South Meadow, to the west towards the abutters on Cherry Street and Cherry Street itself. What we had, to digress even further, this site back in 2006 was approved for what was then termed the Adams Farm 2 over 55 condominium development, as part of which there was an order of conditions issued by the commission, which confirmed a very, very similar wetland boundary flagged at that time by Ecotech. In 2021, Ecotech came out here again, flagged this, found some very minor differences compared to what they had seen before. And that's the basis for the wetland boundary. The wetland is the dark green here that I'm tracing over, which is kind of formed topographically by drop-off from Route 9 and by descent from, again, the high point over here. And this is an intermittent stream path that flows out to Cherry Street. What we propose, again, is to construct a car dealership site with a building set back from the road, about 5 to 6 feet lower than Route 9. The new grade would drop down to a low point here, where runoff would be collected, rise gradually to this building. You would have a service area in the back, which would be at a lower level, and you would have on-site this would all be served by a septic system in this area here with the orange outline, which we already have the official testing for. We now have testing for the proposed 2 infiltration structures. We're going to pick up every bit of impervious surface runoff on this site. Everything from the front of the building forward is draining towards basically a sort of a crease, if you will, in the topography. It's going to be picked up, sent through drain manholes, a CDS stormwater filtration unit, and then to an infiltration structure. Everything from the front of the building backward is going to be picked up by multiple catch basins in the back, sent through drain manholes, CDS stormwater filter unit, and again to an infiltration unit under the pavement. And both of these would only have, in the larger storms, outflow to the existing wetland, and again, the intermittent stream that goes to Cherry Street. Just as a quick aside for if you're wondering about other issues, there are no, from the Natural Heritage Endangered Species mapping online, there are no such resource areas on site. There are no flood zones on site. And what we're going to do by the proposed capture of drainage is we're going to make runoff to all of our abutters decrease simply by decreasing the area to them. For instance, the South Meadow condominiums right now get drainage from sort of a triangular area, and they're sort of 2 property corners rising up to the peak of the hill. In the future, they would only get this that I'm running the scale over, this little piece of it, of essentially that same area that's below the proposed paved area, which is all going to be captured. And that's the same for all of the abutters here. If the abutter Duhamel picks up some drainage all the way up to the hill, now he's only going to get a much smaller area. And that's, as I say, that's the same for all of them. That's how the drainage is going to work on site. Just a very simple, the runoff to Cherry Street is going to be worked by 2 infiltration structures that are also going to be, detaining. And the runoff to all the abutters is going to work by cutting off the area going to them. So we're going to be meeting all of the stormwater report checklist standards 1 through 10 in just normal fashion. This is just going to be, we're going to remove TSS with CDS units and infiltration. We're going to have discharge to riprap splash pads. We've got proposed grading on site of nothing steeper than a 2-to-1 slope. We know that's the commission's preference. All the work ends at least 15 feet off of the flagged resource area. And when we initially filed this plan in February, we had a larger proposed alteration in this area of wetland for sort of display spots for cars to be seen from the road, immediately from the road. And one of the DEP comments was questioning that we needed to alter that much area. So we actually reduced that by 2/3 to 3/4. We only have a small alteration of 700 square feet here. This the exact sort of point of this triangle of wetland. And we would mitigate that with the creation of a 3,000 square foot resource area over here. What other things am I?
We're building a retaining wall there.
Oh, yeah, I should just, yeah, mention that. In addition to, again, no grading steeper than 2 to 1, part of the way we're achieving that is by in multiple areas having retaining walls. For instance, here, so that we don't alter as little wetlands as possible. And in multiple other spots on the site, there's a piece here, there's a piece here. So I would say that we have some retaining walls. We have no slopes steeper than 2 to 1 per the town's preferred standard in that regard.
Where's the replication, James?
Over by Cherry Street. On this sheet, it's the hatched area here, 3,000
Oh,
feet.
way down here, way down on this corner here.
It's actually about the best for, I guess I'd say for excavation to get to the hydric soils. There's, if you look at this plan, you see, okay, where are there other areas of upland that you could, we think there may be some rock here. You have a steep slope down here. This is really, in a lot of ways, sort of the most promising. It's easily accessible to get to do the work. And again, we'd be replicating at almost a 4 to 1 ratio to the proposed alteration. 3,025 square feet versus 763 to be altered. And just one other quick note that sort of ties into the drainage. If you look on the soil maps for this site, most all this site is mapped as Chatfield-Hollis series soils. You've got a little bit really tracking the wetland area. That's Whitman D. You've got a very little bit up by Route 9. That's Paxton. And you've got a very little bit right behind the Cherry Street abutters at the Bridge. And in a previous review by Graves Engineering for the town, we had a site with Chatfield-Hollis soils, and we were asked by the town's reviewer, by Jeff Walsh of Graves, where I was calling that particular bit of Chatfield-Hollis. I said, that's okay, that's a hydrosoil group B soil. And he said, well, you shouldn't really call it B, you should call it D unless you know that you've got, what happens with the Chatfield-Hollis soil is you get a lot of ledge. And on our map, on the soil map, we actually, that's in the set of site plans, we actually showed the area where you see open ledge outcrop. And we called that hydrosoil group D. And some of the other areas that are in the Chatfield-Hollis, like where we did the soil test for the septic system and we didn't hit ledge, again, where we dug for each of the infiltration areas and didn't hit ledge, we're calling that B. So we've got a mix of it, but I think it is a reasonable designation because the specific areas that, again, we were sort of called to do by a previous reviewer, where we're calling it D are where you've got significant ledge outcrop. And again, in the septic system area, we did not have that, and again, not in either of the two proposed infiltration areas. So I think we've got a reasonable description of things there. I think we've got a nice, simple drainage system the way it works. We're just cutting off areas to most of the abutters, wherein we're using the two infiltration areas to reduce the flow that would go to the wetland and to the existing intermittent stream. And I think all of our grades are pretty reasonable. Again, we stuck to the town's 2 to 1 maximum slope. In fact, we got in the DP comments from the February filing, DP actually said, why don't you make these steeper? Then you could get further away from the wetland. And we were sort of chuckling because it's like, well, the town doesn't really want us to make these steeper, and that's why we're not, even further away from the wetland. But so there was a little bit of cross purposes between the two of you, but this is what we've proposed. Again, is the 2 to 1 slopes, and the town engineer Andy had a comment that I wasn't even aware of this in the International Building Code somewhere. There's something saying that if you have more than a 30-foot vertical drop, you should try and have a bench or a break or partway down there. And there is a stretch of this here where this is 30 or more. And so we'll end up to address his comment, probably just pushing back the pavement edge here and creating a break in there. And we had other comments from the town engineer. He wanted to see some additional detail on Route 9 and some other things, but we will address his comments. We knew coming in that we were expecting to continue, so we wanted to be here, though, to get feedback from this meeting, from the commission, and see what else may be added to what Andy has already raised. I'll leave it at that. I've gone on long enough, and try and answer any questions.
All right. Martha?
I'm trying to figure out, I guess where the cars are gonna be. My concern, I'll let you guys dig into the wetlands. I'm wondering about lighting that comes with this project. And I imagine that if you're displaying cars, you want to have security and lighting. There are homes very close to this. And I'm sure this project is going to impact how these folks see their current backyards. Some of the erosion control comes very close to the current stone fence, but my question tonight is about lighting and what the night is going to look like for the neighboring homeowners.
Sure. We actually have already contracted with a party to do the lighting plan. We were sort of more expecting that to be at the site plan approval on the planning board side, but we are already doing that, and he understands that he's going to have to show that there's no light pollution off onto abutting properties.
Okay. And it does have to do with wetlands because light, as you know, impacts wetland species and
Yep.
insects, et cetera, that are active at night. So there's my connection.
Fair enough.
All set?
Okay, I'm set.
Jason?
I don't have any questions today.
Okay. Ken?
Can you explain about your stormwater management
Sure.
plan, how you're going to phase the site, how you're going to construct it?
That was actually one of Andy Truman's comments, was asking for more detail of sort of maybe an interim grading to show where temporary settling basins especially would be located. Definitely one would be located right here, which is right now, the natural dip. Again, you go right now from 548 to 520 up to 547. And in future, you would go from 548 down to trying to read the numbers here, 36 up to 542. So even both existing and proposed conditions, this is the natural sort of local low point, and this is where you would put at least one large temporary settling basin.
Mm-hmm.
You'd also probably put a couple smaller ones trying to stay out of both the septic system area and infiltration areas in the back here, and probably at least one more on each side. But one of Andy Truman's requests was that we specifically add a plan to the set showing, okay, here's where we're at an interim grading position. There's a construction entrance here, a temporary settling basin here, et cetera, and showing, we would add to them, showing, okay, this basin will have so much drainage area to it by DEP standards. It must be at least a minimum so many cubic feet, and it is designed as, hopefully 1.5 times that amount. But that it meets the 3,600 cubic feet per acre DEP standard of temporary settling basin volume. So your question is something that Andy Truman also asked, and we will be adding that to the plan set.
And included with that, you'll have how you're going to stabilize your slopes, how you're going to work with open areas, how you're going to control silt and runoff with different types of chemicals or...
Well, in the interim condition, we want to make a special use of wood chips and stump grindings especially. As a temporary stabilization, that's the best. Long-term, we do have detail on the plan showing we want to use a particular erosion control mat on the 2-to-1 slopes. And again, besides the 2-to-1 slopes and the retaining walls, there's not much besides the pavement itself. But as to the open areas in interim condition and short term, we want to use wood chips and especially stump grindings.
Have you done test pits and whatnot?
We did, again, when we first came out here, we picked this area as the most likely spot for a septic system because there's a little bit of a half bowl shape to the ground. And what we found in these Chatfield Hollow sites is you've got to find sort of a concave shape in the ground to get enough soil to have a valid deep hole. You got to have 4 feet below the topsoil to have a valid one. And so we did find that here. We also found that over here and over here, the 2 locations proposed for infiltration. Again, at the very top of the hill, it's kind of exposed ledge sort of all over the place. So, we don't even have, if you look closely at the plan, you won't even see catch basins in all of this site. The intention is to sort of have this all sort of be turtle-backed and shedding to the edges because we fear that, okay, if there's an area here that's like elevation 540 now and we're proposing to go to 538, if there's ledge, just below the surface, they're going to have enough, work to do just to bring it down to subgrade for a paved surface. We don't want to make them have to dig, 7 feet down to get the sump of a catch basin. So that's why you see all the structures are kind of at the edges of things, at the low point here, but also, again, at the edges to try and avoid hitting any ledge.
Well said.
Chris?
Did you say the maintenance facility is going to be on the backside?
We would anticipate
repair?
the showroom at the front, yep, and the sale and the service area at the back and at a lower level. This is
Okay.
essentially, this building is essentially one big walkout back with 542 elevation in the front and 528 in the back.
So I'm concerned about secondary containment for the chemicals like oil and things that are going to be used to repair vehicles. Just,
Sure.
I'd like to see some detail on that when you.
Okay. I would completely anticipate that they would have drains within the building. We would also have, obviously,
Grease trap.
catch basin sumps, and the CDS structure has, depending on which structure, you can have as much as 400 to 500 gallons of storage in that, too.
Okay. All right, no other questions?
All set.
Till next.
James, question for you on the replication area. I noticed, you said it was tucked off to the corner by Cherry Street, and you're actually building a wetland adjacent to a property owner. I mean, there are single-family homes in that area. So you, in essence, create somewhat of a limitation on what that person can do on their property because we have offsets to wetland for construction.
We'll look at it.
And
We'll look at it.
you're now expanding the wetland along that guy's property line.
Sure.
I can tell you right now, it's 51 Cherry Street is the one that gets probably the biggest hit of that. And
Well, again, this area that's shaded is 3,000 and change square feet.
We'll look at
It's
it.
nearly 4 times that.
Right.
We can reduce it so that if even you cut it down so it's just 2 times the alteration, if it was just from sort of my finger over here, that would leave probably no new wetland closer than existing wetland is to any part of that property.
is there any other place you could put the wetland? I'm not adverse to having
No.
replicated
Well,
wetlands.
we
but
will be,
I don't want
We'll reduce
to,
it.
any neighbor.
We will be consulting with Ecotech in, again, partly answering Andy Truman's comments in its design, and we will see if they have had anything that they preferred.
Right, right, because, I mean, your other alternative is you're really maximizing the site with the number of parking spaces and where you're actually doing the wetland filling. Is there a way to possibly just do away with a number of spaces there and not even have the
We'll look
filling?
at it.
We'll
look at it.
Yeah, as
You know, I mean,
the
that-
applicant says, we'll look at that.
Yeah, if you can
We'll look at all
look
the
at
options.
those, weigh those trade-offs there.
Yep.
Yeah, the concern with the slope, I was gonna say cut a shelf in partway down some of these slopes because they are horrendous slopes, long slopes,
Yep.
So Andy's already addressed that. And you are on on a septic is this going to be a gravity flow to the septic, or is it going to be a,
Yes, because just quickly, upper floor 542, lower floor 528.
yeah,
And as the grades on the surface go, it's 26, 24.
okay.
So this is 22 there.
So you're
it's about
all,
6 feet below.
you're fine for gravity on that?
Yep.
And what else was there? Oh, on the CDS stormwater mitigator, I'll call it, that's a brand name, right, to CDS?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a Vortechnics, but with oil?
The
storage?
Vortechnics was sort of the rectangular box.
Right.
CDS was one of the first of the sort of the cylindrical.
Like a manhole
Yeah,
section.
exactly.
But it does suspended solids, and it does also oil. It has the capability you mentioned
Yeah.
for Chris to capture oil also.
And in fact, if you look at the brochures, they'll tell you, by the way, different ones have different capacities for oil storage. We ran into this on another site, actually, for the applicant in Boylston, where they wanted us to, because of oil deliveries and things, they said, well, can you show us you can get to a certain couple 100-gallon minimum storage of oil in whatever structure you use? And so we actually ended up moving up a couple models from the one we were first picking,
Right,
based on the flow, to get that oil storage.
okay. And how many of those were you employing on this job?
Well, we were gonna do one to each, so it's tough to see, but we had, figuring half the roof was gonna go to the infiltration structure in the front, through a manhole, then to it. Half the roof is gonna go to the infiltration structure in the back, and then the catch basins at sort of the low point, down from each side here, are gonna go to a CDS structure over here.
Okay.
And the drainage all over here was gonna go to one CDS structure over here. So we're gonna have one to each of these, and we can certainly work with the town as far as if the engineering department says they'd like to see a certain volumetric capacity for capture of oil, to achieve that.
Okay. How long have they been around this type of
Ooh,
unit?
20 years now. Vortechnics, at least 20 years. The
Vortechnics has been, but is CDS actually owned by Vortechnics?
It's actually, they're both owned by Contech.
Oh, okay.
Contech is like the Borg of construction equipment. They bought out both those, and they bought out at least one of the other ones. I'll get which one it is wrong, but maybe it was Storm Scepter. They bought them out there. The Vortechnics had the benefit that the way it was set up was you could clean it out with a clamshell, with like what the town would use for their catch basins.
Yep.
Whereas the others all actually need a vac truck.
Yep.
So some of those, for instance, we were working in Boylston where they don't have a vac truck, but they wanted us to specifically have the Vortechnics because they could clean that, at least to a degree, not completely, with their regular clamshell catch basin cleaning device.
Yep. And the last comment I have is on the phasing of the project too. You're obviously probably going to address this in a couple phases.
It's really going to be sort of in a way it's one phase, but in a way too, the initial phase is really going to be grading to the point of installing the walls, and putting down either permanent stabilization in some areas, or if there's an area that's going to be further graded after that, putting down stump grindings and wood chips as the temporary cover.
So you're going to go in and open the whole site initially, that on the phase one, and
I think we're going
grade it out?
We're going to look at that because there is a natural way to do it as a part, because again, you've got drop down.
Right, to the middle
and
where
high
it's the
point
low
here,
point.
And this is both by, where its drainage is eventually going, and just by the grades is kind of independent.
Right.
From here.
Right.
So it could be constructed as two separate pieces.
Right.
At least to a large degree. I mean, theoretically, you could be doing the walls here and just do like this wall over here and, this wall over here on the side, while not necessarily overturning all the earth of this side. So I guess we'll have to put a little more thought into that, and again, it's sort of answering Andy Truman's, one of his comments.
Okay, and lastly, snow storage, you got a lot of paved area. Where's your plan for putting snow? Well, pushing it off the embankment.
One was going to be off on this flat over here. But we hadn't really actually had batted it back and forth in regard to the other areas, so we're gonna have to put some more thought into that.
Okay, yeah, that would be a question, needs to be answered. All right. Todd, anything?
Okay, so Andy's, one of his comments is there was an enforcement order issued May 1st, 2020 that's never been addressed or closed out.
Yeah, that was when we came in to do the testing for the septic system. The machine went through and went over, actually, I don't know if you want to call it corduroy road, that sort of lined up logs, but he also went through in the course of that wetland. We looked actually at the time that he did that, to see if there was any physical alteration of the stream, and I'm a biased party, but I didn't see it. But I guess we would ask, what would we need to do with the commission to take care of that from?
I thought the way, before this was withdrawn, the first time it was coming through, I think we talked about this. How do we handle the enforcement action? And I thought it was going to be wrapped into the new construction. It was going to be addressed as.
Well, we sort of thought we were, to some degree, doing that with creating wetland here.
Yeah.
We'll look at
the
that. We'll look
replication.
at that
And-
site.
Yeah, we could
look at
have a
it.
little more discussion with Mr. Truman about what, if anything, he'd like to see as mitigation for where the machine has gone through. Because at the same time as a wetland replication area is being created right there, doing a little bit of remedial work, 50 feet away or 100 feet away that would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
So Andy's next comment was the DEP had a number of comments. He wanted to make sure that the committee had got a chance to review those. He attached the comments to the memo when he sent it out.
DEP ones?
Yep.
Tell you the truth, I can't remember if I incorporated them into my notes. Did you got a copy of DEP comments?
Oh, yeah, we saw them in February.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, the sort of primary ones, if I may, were them saying, gee, why are you altering almost 3,000 square feet over here?
Right.
Cut that back, and again, I note with a
Okay.
bit of a chuckle, them saying, why do you have all these big 2-to-1 slopes going all this way? If you just make them a little steeper, you can stay even further away.
Yeah.
So, there's just
So,
a little difference of
yeah.
opinion about the best way.
So Andy's next comment was that this will need a stormwater permit,
Yep.
clearly. Andy has questions about the phasing, which you guys have actually been discussing. See here, on the existing conditions, the dashed line 15-foot offset from the BVW. Yeah, please clarify what that, did you have the memo from Andy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's enough.
So did you address, I'm going to read off his comments and if.
Oh, sure.
There's a dash line 15-foot offset from the BVW. Please clarify what it is. Add a 30-foot no disturb buffer to these plans and all site plans. Did you do that?
Well, we haven't changed the plan since we submitted them, but I guess that raises the question. We thought that the commission was working with asking applicants to provide a 15-foot no disturb and 30-foot no structure buffers, and is that not what is the guideline?
The guidance right now, I think, does say 30 feet to a structure.
Okay.
So you're right, James.
We
And
might-
then what do you classify as a structure?
I was just gonna ask, would head wall and
Building.
riprap splash pad be considered structure? I'm not.
No,
I don't think so. I don't,
Okay.
I wouldn't consider it a structure.
no.
Then I think the only thing that is even in question is where our,
Retaining wall.
retaining wall
you have to do
here
that.
relative to wetland line.
Structure is a building.
That's how
It's a
that's
building.
how I sort of look at it, as
Yeah.
as part of the building structure.
Okay.
So Andy's next comment on the existing conditions was that the site's heavily vegetated. The limits of vegetation should be shown.
It's, the entire site is wooded at this time. If you look on an aerial picture, if you're out there, it is all wooded. There's not any sort of
There's no fields.
meadow
Yeah.
within this, or it's all, tree canopy, mostly deciduous.
So you
but-
can add a note to the drawing somewhere that the site is a fully vegetated, wooded site,
For the site layout plans, label all the proposed hardscape elements of the site and add dimensions. Grading plan, add spot grades to the walls, clarifying the top and bottom of the walls.
Sure.
Okay, so there's the comment on the slopes about having, that you already talked about.
And he cited the International Building Code. He's going far afield to find.
Erosion control plan, location of the construction entrance should be shown on the plans. Okay, so details, there are two to one slope details. One makes reference to a riprap at a 1-to-1 slopes. Details should be updated to reflect the correct surface dressings, including swales. If riprap is being used, it should be called out on the plans.
James, don't go through this, just say we'll do it.
I mean, I'm literally just reading
No, it's already
these
on.
out. But,
Understand.
Say yes.
D4, deep test holes in accordance with the DEP requirements shall be performed in the information shown on the plans for all the infiltration systems. So that's something you've done since then, right?
We have done since, in both of these areas.
So in the updated set, those would be included.
Correct.
There's no detail for a dumpster enclosure. That should be included. There's no details for the retaining walls. Given the close proximity to BVW, the wall details should be added. Flared sections and velocity reducing devices details should be added along with sizing calculations. There's no site preparation plan showing the extent of vegetation removal. There's no utility plan showing how the sanitary water and fire protection needs will be addressed. Drainage information, pipe sizes, materials, manhole rims, and inverts should also be shown on these plans.
It's actually in one of the detail sheets. Is there a table of all the rims and inverts?
We'll provide it all. Thank you.
There's a comment, there are no landscaping plans. Okay, there's a comment that this site is made up of 3 different parcels, that an A&R should be submitted to combine the parcels. As the parcels abut on 2 streets, the applicant should confirm with the assessing office to determine the correct address and map and parcel information.
That's correct.
Okay, and the wetlands, the 763 square feet of BVW to be altered is shown on the plans now? Okay. And the 3,025 square feet to be replaced is shown. Do you have a detail showing the plantings plans?
We have a detail of a cross-section of that, but we're actually contacted Ecotech again. We're going to work with them about specifically what plantings they'd like to see. Again, so we have a couple of questions to ask them. Do you strongly prefer another area to this? We'll again look at any implication of what's created on the abutter, and we're going to go over with Ecotech about what specific plantings they'd like to see. Which plants and what number. Again, a lot of times there's other features too, the few boulders, turned over logs, et cetera, for some protective habitat value. So we'll go over that with Ecotech.
So those are, that's all of Andy's comments.
Okay. Yeah, and also just the side slopes, how they'll be vegetated. I know in one of Andy's comments was some vegetation plan, but I take it they're not going to be mowing those side slopes on a regular basis with that?
No.
Problem?
No, we would expect that this, this slope would be just high grass, following in with whatever successional vegetation got going there. but that it's not something that they would maintain.
Yeah, why don't you come up with some kind of a plan of what you want to plant there for our grasses and.
Okay,
mark-
again, Ecotech would
And
be,
also, do you have a recommendation that you could steer them toward for these slopes? They're significant.
They are significant. I would, in addition to grasses, I think I would like to see some starter shrubs
okay.
in there as well.
What did you,
We'll look at it.
for my ignorance, what would
We'll look at it.
constitute starter shrubs? I mean, what do you, I mean,
They're going to be dry, so you could use things like, bayberry, sweet fern, something like that. Ecotech will
Okay.
probably have some suggestions.
okay.
All right, let's see if we have any questions from the public tonight. And keep in mind, this hearing will be continued till our next meeting too, so this is not the end of the hearing tonight.
Thank you.
Yep, your name and address, please.
My name is John Finn. I live at 55 Brookdale Circle, which is part of South Meadow Condos. I am a chairperson of the Board of Trustees, and we have some questions and concerns. And first I apologize, I couldn't hear everything this gentleman said. So we're concerned about drainage mainly. On Old Laxfield Road, which abuts this area, we don't have any drain problems at all. And as I look at it, as we look at it, this is a hilly area, and although I hear something about retention areas, we would like to ask, at the very least, that the board take a close look at that. And, because in the event of flooding or whatever else, like I say, we've not had any problems as long as I can recall with this parcel. We also have two other issues. One of your board members mentioned early was lighting. And we're wondering, will there be some sort of buffer created so that light is not shining on people's houses unnecessarily on Old Laxfield Road? And similarly, noise. You indicate that the maintenance or repairs are going to be in the back of the facility. Again, are there going to be any buffers to deal with the noise? And finally, although this might be outside your scope of this commission, there's another car dealership going in across the street. What is it called? Bocce, Shrewsbury, Worcester. We feel it's going to create tremendous traffic problems, and we would ask that you take that into consideration.
Yep, traffic, it's beyond this commission,
Okay.
so.
All right.
Planning board is the place to bring that up.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments tonight?
Mohammed Nalawi from 5 Brookdale Circle for Patio South Meadows. And just the question is that being a commercial property, it'll basically abut our properties, or will there be like a barrier? Because I've lived in a condo in Connecticut in which there were tree lines similar to this, and then what they did what the town did in order to protect us is that the town created an easement of about 100 feet, basically separate us from like noise and lighting from there. But when the winter came around, all that tree line that was there during that time in Connecticut came down. Basically, you saw all the cars and you saw all the noise during that time. So even though they had an easement of 100 feet, it wasn't still enough. It was good in the summer. However, come the fall and winter, it wasn't really that great. So this is my concern, considering property owners that live along Old Laxfield, and basically the value of what's going to happen to our property too.
Yeah, I think if that kind of concern you should bring up to the planning board also. That really is where it would be addressed. We're asking for a vegetation plan here that's going to stabilize slopes and all, but it may not provide that kind of buffer you're looking for to shield yourself from the buildings and the cars and things like that. And I think that's probably best planning board decision to to weigh in.
So I'm kind of, don't know too much about, like, this is kind of my first time here to this
Yep.
board. So with them creating wetlands or kind of like, you could like say basins to contain water or stop water flow, that'll probably affect the wetlands that we have on our property, because we do have wetlands on our property too, basically a lot on our property too. That'll have some type of effect with the water drainage and the water that will come onto our property too.
James, why don't you address that?
Well, I would just note that the wetland on this property is completely separate from the wetland on the South Meadow property.
Okay.
This wetland is, this BBW has an intermittent stream. This flows under Cherry Street here, and it keeps going southwest to hitting, I guess is that Big Bummit Brook at that point?
I think it is.
Which is flowing in a northwesterly direction before it makes a turn and then goes under 140. But these wetlands are completely separate.
But in terms of recharge, in other words, it's a wooded area now, which is basically retaining water on site and recharging the ground, but you're providing a drainage system which is introducing water back into the ground. So why don't you just tell him?
Sure. Well, actually, there's really two things. Because there also is a septic system which has some minor recharge effect. But the infiltration area here that's going to receive the runoff from the backyard will infiltrate until you get to, I believe it's larger than a 10-year storm, at which point you have piped discharge outflow. But these are a few hundred feet from this wetland, and the reduction in flow, despite cutting off most of the area, it's actually not a huge flow. As the previous speaker said, he's seen no evidence of flooding, et cetera, from this property to this point. I would expect that, because it's not a big flow coming off this site to the South Meadow. It's basically, it picks up kind of a triangle of area running up the hill to the peak of the hill from there, sort of two property corners. Right now that's wooded, but we're going to make some of this grassed, which tends to make a little more runoff, but the net effect still is going to be slightly less.
Because what's interesting is that I lived on a property before that was on a hill, and actually I rented. The previous property owner that basically took care of that property had a home up on a hill, and then he had trees. He removed all the trees, and what was interesting is that when I rented that property, all that water that came down flooded homes that were on basically a second level on the street below me. So removing the trees does have an effect that hopefully all this planning takes into consideration, because instead of having water that's stopped by vegetation, you basically have it streamlined coming down. So just something to consider.
Right.
Thank you.
The trees do move quite a bit of water from the ground up into the air, and so they are really effective at managing the precipitation that falls on the ground.
Yes.
That's why they're paying attention to engineering the systems on site to manage that stormwater.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any further questions tonight? All right, I don't see any.
Then, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would ask to please continue to this hearing to your next meeting.
Okay, so we will continue this public hearing until our next meeting, which is October 18, 2022.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Board.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, if he's watching, Andy, please get well.
All right, we had another hearing scheduled. It was a request for determination of applicability filed by Habib Amani for the construction of an addition to an existing building and associated site work at 9 Walcott Road. Is Are you, were you contacted that the request that you filed apparently didn't have any details on it to be evaluated tonight? So we're unable to open this hearing, we just don't have information. There's no wetland resource shown, and that's what we base our decision on. So you really have to modify your application to the town. And I'm not certain, I didn't see the application myself, but it apparently was missing a signatures too, Todd? Did you verify that?
I'm verifying. Yes, it is missing some signatures.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we cannot open this hearing tonight. You'll have to come up to engineering. Todd will explain to you what you have to do to get your request in order and then come back next month.
Actually, I stuck at the middle. I continue, everything's from February this year. And I came with the plan.
Yeah.
And I got the special permit because I have two special boys, 19 years old and 15.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't know what I should say now. And they said September 1st I should apply, and that end I bring all document, but the Andy wasn't here, and I submit the document.
Right.
And before yesterday I came here and I asked him, if any plan for my property.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, yes, you are in the meeting.
Well-
And today he called me and he said, no. This is 9 months, just I want to do the addition for my son.
Yeah.
And I stuck between 3 companies.
Yeah,
I bring all document before.
right.
I have a survey, I have a plan, everything.
Yeah. But,
I want to just tell you about this problem, for notice of intent. I apply for that one. I have a survey, it shows 35, foot from the addition to the wetland, to my property. And the wetland is more than 40 or 50 feet. But 2 gentlemen, they came, one they did the flag
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Yeah.
He didn't contact, and again, I contact with another company
Yeah,
to just put the flag on the survey, I have it.
yeah,
And 10 days ago, they came there and they did everything,
yeah.
but they canceled, just they gave me another quotation for $6,000. I asked why
Yeah.
I pay for the flag, and I asked Andy several times,
Yeah.
Nobody gave me the confirmation, just 2 company, and one was Scott, and another was Todd Champion.
Yeah.
I stuck between,
So you hired.
coming, going,
you
coming,
hired
going.
these wetland companies to flag the property.
They flag it.
Yeah, and they.
6 months ago.
And they flagged, but this is the first time we're getting this request for.
Well, So, sir.
Yes.
When I talked to you,
Yeah.
about 3 weeks ago, do you remember I said that you needed to show the wetland flags on,
Yeah,
I see the
yeah.
plan, but
Yes.
I told that you needed to show the wetland flags on the plan, and then
Yeah.
you said that you thought by the time we got to the meeting.
Yes.
You'd be able to provide that plan.
I remember everything. I
Okay.
have some document
but
to
you-
show you, they
but-
came, they did the survey,
But we-
but again, it's called the company Real Map Fo LLC. I have, and they said the quotation for $1,500, but now they ask me for $7,000. They said, we can't accept this survey I did before, and they give me another quotation.
Okay,
Now it's
just-
3 times, I don't know what I should do.
Right. One second.
Yes.
Do you have his application right
Yes.
now? can you come over to Todd's desk and just show him, just specifically the application you have and what is missing from that?
I give you this one.
Right, but we need something that shows the wetland flags.
Yes.
So that is what we're working from, what Todd has in front of him. Now, something you bring in tonight is not going to help.
What's that? This one.
Wait.
It was, what the date? 25, April 25.
So-
You know, they give me this one. And again, they changed the price for 823. I promise you, I can give you.
The
no, no.
town can't get involved between you and our
Yes,
contractor.
but
Yeah. All,
So this is a quotation.
yeah, for its quotation on wetland flagging and whatnot.
But
Yeah.
they flagging, and you
Yeah.
see, this is the wetland, I pay for it, and they bring it, and they put the flag around the house, you know? It's
Right.
more than 50 feet, but
So, but we need that on a plan, and we need stamps by a surveyor.
okay. But today you called me, you know? It was,
No,
I came 3 days ago, and you said, okay, you are in the plan,
So-
and that's the, you know?
Sir,
Well, you're on the agenda, but it was an incomplete application. Now we came to the meeting and we still don't have the right
Just
documentation.
one question.
Yeah.
How many feet it's a requirement from my addition to the wetland?
We would like to see 30 feet.
Now I have 35 feet from this survey.
Well, then you have to show it on the plan that Todd has in front of him.
but this doesn't show the wetlands.
The wetland,
So remember how when I talked to you about 3 weeks ago, you said you were gonna have someone
yes, I
put
talked
this
with
in?
Andy, and he said, actually, you have, this is my priority. There is no any wetland. And he said, if you have 35, now it's 30, how much? 36?
Yep.
0.5. You don't want, you can come and, you know, let them know you have 30, more than 35. That's the reason everything was going, but today they said, again, we need the flag.
Yeah, That was me,
No.
I meant to calling you, and
No,
it
no.
was me.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I should
let,
contact Andy about
well,
again.
yeah, well, let's do this get you on the agenda for next month, quickly get, it sounds like you got some of the information all done there. So if you can get this, if you can come in again and Todd will explain to him again exactly what he has to see on that plan. Obviously, we don't have the wetland line shown, which we need to be able to act on it tonight. So,
When I see it, you know, I see,
I know what you're seeing, I'm not debating that, that's good, it sounds good, it sounds like it's gonna be working in your favor, so we just gotta get it on the application so that has to get filed, and we have to make a decision, and right now, we don't have the information on it to say, yes, we agree with you.
just, I wanna doing just, you know,
I know.
I don't have any, what they call, it's, wheelchair accessible, and I wanna do it.
I know
have
what you're
4
saying.
room, I don't use it, but,
I
you
know.
know, 6 months just going and coming,
But-
I don't know.
Yeah.
What I should, say, but, you know.
But 1 month, I mean, 1 month with us, I mean, this is the first time we were on the
Oh, I
agenda.
know.
So, yeah, I know you've been working hard on this, but let's see if we can get this resolved for next month, get it done, and you can get your addition built.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay, thank you for
Thank you.
coming in, yep.
You have my phone number, right? Okay,
No, I'll
Yep.
be here tomorrow.
but that's fine, you have my phone number, we can make a time and we can sit
Thank
down.
you.
Okay,
Have a good night.
just so the public knows, the RDA, the request for determination of applicability filed for 9 Walcott Road, was not open tonight due to lack of information on the application. And hopefully, we'll have it for next month and be able to open it then. That concludes our hearing, so let's go on and discuss our orders of conditions.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion, we issue an order of conditions at 102 Reservoir Street for the construction of a patio, stone patio, bocce ball court, and associated landscaping, with the addition of some 3x3 boulders added.
Along the bocce ball court, length of the bocce ball court.
Okay.
Correct?
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we issue an order of conditions for 240 South Quinsigamon Ave for construction of an addition. Where's the page right here? An addition,
Deck.
Patio. Extend the, also extend the wattles up to the limit of new work. And I think Martha had recommended an infiltrator or a rain garden of some sort. Is that correct?
For the roof recharge.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we issue an order of conditions to construction of a new dock system at for the town of Shrewsbury at the Donahue Rowing Center located at 223, 237, and 239 North Quinsigamon Ave, with the condition that they use the best possible pressure-treated wood, and that they file with the Lake Quinsigamon Commission.
And the old,
Best-
the old
you mean
docks being,
Aquatic usage, best suitable for aquatic.
Best, yes,
and then you wanted the old docks removed.
correct.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And to just make a special note, Todd, that one, we do need the file number. That still doesn't.
It's,
Oh,
no, it's there, isn't it?
Oh, is it on the new one?
It's on the
revised
agenda.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm working off the agendas on
I
Friday.
keep on bouncing back and forth. between the
Beautiful.
two.
Okay, we do have it. Excellent. Okay, Ken.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we issue an order of conditions at 8 Claremont Circle for the construction of a play area and associated mulch.
Okay, no other conditions. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we issue order of conditions for construction of a single-family home at 16 Greenbrier Drive.
And with the condition on the stone, Ken, erosion, the erosion barrier.
To be, large
And-
boulders 3x3 set at the erosion control barrier line.
And did we want to ask for the inclusion of the 30 and 100-foot buffer zone lines on the plans?
On the plan, you mean?
Yeah,
Show that?
yeah.
Sure.
Can we have them modify the plan once we close the hearing, though? I don't know if that, I don't think you can, Martha. The meeting's
Okay.
closed.
There was, all right, well, there was discussion of
Yeah.
that being shown.
But it's sort of a moot point at this point, because that easement, this is the one with the big drainage easement on the back end,
Mhm.
that, where they are putting their hay bales was 30, that's 30, well, runs between 25 and 30 feet from the wetland
Swale.
line.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
big swale, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, our order's calling for big rocks to be placed there, and that's about as important as it can be. I mean, we don't need anything else
So
to be added.
it's an on-the-ground condition.
Yeah, it's basically, you're right, we're doing it on the ground.
Okay.
Okay, so do we do a second on that one and all? Did we vote, you made the
I
motion.
made the motion.
Do we have a
I'll-
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion, we issue an order of conditions for demolition of an existing home and the construction of a new single-family home and associated site work at 494 Grafton Street.
All right, no.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's it.
Wow.
That was
All
good.
right, so now we're
We're
into,
gonna need signature sheets.
yeah, we
I
got,
actually have them
You
all.
got them? Okay.
Yeah. Sherry made sure it was all set.
discuss the enforcement orders 2 tonight again.
Todd, do we have enforcement orders?
I think we were actually first on the enforcement order list.
10 Glengarry first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just signing our orders of conditions right now, so just bear with us for a few minutes.
Sure.
long night.
I think you should do enforcement orders first.
That would be rewarding, people.
Well, they need to be in a bad mood for the notice of.
I don't know, because we only voted on
They usually
one,
Should be five.
2, 3. How many?
5, I think?
Five. This will sign 5 sheets.
What did I just give you, 3?
I have 2, 3,
2,
yes.
3, 4, 5. 5. Should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total.
Yeah, my count is 6.
Okay, wonder what I missed.
Here's the. Okay, so I'm going to keep those separate.
All right, we're ready for moving on to our next item, which is to discuss enforcement orders, and our first one is 10 Glengarry Road.
Good evening. Scott Jordan from Ecotech. Michael?
Michael Shemiziglu, 10 Glengarry Road.
Thank you. So if you may recall, when we were here last month, we had provided a restoration protocol. It included a surveyed plan, showed the wetlands, and a proposal to move, actually backing up, there's a shed placed in the buffer zone, unauthorized shed, and some crushed stone pathway actually through the wetland to the stream. The restoration protocol we submitted included moving the shed to outside of the 50-foot buffer, which then it then becomes a minor exempt project under the Wetlands Protection Act. Wouldn't require filing. And of course, restore the wetlands. And the little spot where we're taking the shed from in the buffer zone with some shrub plantings. We had tossed around with you folks last month, maybe we'll just keep the shed there. He's gotta have it moved, he's gotta run the electrical, and so he's been thinking about it. I think we're just gonna go ahead and move the shed to outside the 50 and do the restoration. And really, it was just a quick update for you on that. One thing that I've come to realize recently in doing some restoration work is planting materials are becoming a little bit difficult to get. I think what I may do is do a slight revision to this planting plan for the wetlands, 97 square feet of wetland. We had proposed skunk cabbage and cinnamon fern herbaceous plantings, which is similar to what's there. I'd like to give him the option to maybe put down a wetland seed mix if he can't get planting materials, just so he has an option there. It gets stabilized right away and stuff. So I'll go ahead and revise this and shoot over to Andy for the file for you folks. And
It's not that big an area.
No, no, it's a little pathway, so. Okay?
Yep.
Is that it,
Sounds
Michael?
good.
That-
Yeah,
That'll take care of it then, huh?
just a quick update, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yep, no, great.
Okay, great, so we'll get to work on that,
All right,
all right? We'll let you know how it goes.
okay, excellent.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next enforcement order, 56 Oregon Ave. Any update on that, Todd?
Andy said he had the wrong address and that he needed to work on that.
It's a wrong ad, that 56 Oregon that's the wrong address,
Uh,
apparently?
uh,
That's the one he didn't get any response back, right?
Right.
Okay, no response, possibly wrong address. All right, 284 South Quinsigamon?
It's not completed. He needed to, he was planning on updating you next month on that.
Okay. Nothing new. All right. Okay, moving on to our next item, discuss and sign certificates of compliance. How do we stand on reviewing these sites for compliance? Have we done site visits or?
I would need to talk to Andy about.
Yeah, so I was thinking we're gonna have to defer that because of Andy's absence. All right, so any certificates of compliance that were on the agenda are being deferred until our next monthly meeting.
Does that have to happen with all of them? I'm just here, I've been here for 6 Victoria. This is my house.
So you're one of those on it. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone here tonight who has visited your site to verify that, the order of conditions was complied with. So we have to do that before we can sign off on the certificate of compliance. We've had a staffing problem this month, so, we're sorry about that, and I think we're hopefully gonna be back on track for next month.
I won't own the house in a month.
What's that?
I'm selling the house. We're supposed to close next week.
Well, there's really nothing I can do tonight, without having seen that site.
Okay.
So,
Because this is something that we had done, it was supposed to be done in 2019, when we actually did the work. And I came here then and sat in front of everybody and we talked about it, and I showed everything then, and it just never actually got signed off or done.
if you did you file the original notice of intent for the work on this house? What was the actual project? Were you constructing a house?
No, all we did was a playground.
Okay, so you did a playground, you got an order of conditions, obviously,
Yeah, I
and
think
you filed that with the Registry of Deeds.
I think Brad Stone was his name.
Brad Stone, correct. So when was that done, that order of conditions issued to you?
I believe it was the exact same. So what happened was we were like 5 days from being done with everything.
Yeah.
We didn't realize we were supposed to reach out to everybody for doing a patio and the playground. And so he told me about it like literally the day of the meeting. We showed up that day, went through and showed you guys everything. I actually spent an extra, I think $5 or $6 grand to put sod in to finish it for everything, so it was already done. We had the barriers and everything before. And then that was, you guys said, that sounds great, finish it, sounds good. We finished everything and assumed it was all done. And that was in 2019.
That was 2019?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody,
We never thought anything else about it until we go to sell a house and they tell us there's an order of conditions on it for whatever reason.
that's where I'm getting at, the onus is on the owner to get a certificate of compliance. Typically, when the work is done, you request that from the town, and the town comes out and does it. So when did you put in this request recently, the one that's on our agenda? Did you do this just this month, for this month?
This is the second month. So the first month we had, the engineer came and sat in the meeting and said that you guys basically had it all done, just needed to look at it, or he needed to look at it. He was supposed to report back to you guys
that it was all done, and then it got put back on the agenda because we're closing next week. So I came to make sure it was done.
Yeah, but time-wise, what are we talking months here? I mean,
We just decided to sell the house, 2 months ago, right?
okay, so this is all recent. This has come up within the past 2 months that you've realized because of the house sale, you needed this certificate of compliance. I got you. Yeah, that's how, unfortunately, that's how a lot of people find out they need a certificate of compliance. You're not the only one this has happened to. Yeah, we have to get,
Because I didn't know we had an order of conditions, because it all happened on the exact same day. So basically,
well, yeah, but that's the way it is, and unfortunately, all of these certificates that were on the docket tonight, Andy's not available, and hopefully we'll be able to get out and view these sites shortly, and it would be on the docket again next month. So in terms of your closing, it could affect it. I can't say how the attorneys are going to view it.
Just have them do an escrow, do a holdback.
Exactly.
You can still close, have them have your attorney talk to the other closing attorney, do a
I
holdback.
can't imagine the extra buyer's gonna care. It's all done the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, I mean, do a holdback, they could figure out some amount of money to do a holdback of like $1,000, $2,000. And it will hopefully get somebody out there.
And then once it clears, he'll get his money.
Yeah, then the $2,000 will be released from
back
the
to
attorney's
you.
escrow account. And
Okay,
it should
so
be all set.
that's basically the only way we can do it tonight.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
All right, moving on to the next item, discuss updating 2002 policy requirements.
Not tonight.
Not tonight?
No.
Would everybody agree?
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Okay, there wasn't too much pushback on that. And review and comment, comprehensive permit filing 409 South Street. What's that about, Todd?
That's the new housing development off of Chestnut Street.
I think we're gonna have to push that off for now.
Okay. All right. It's a new housing development, Mark?
Yeah,
Martha?
yeah, it's the new housing that's proposed.
All right. And the last item, which is really informational to all the residents of Shrewsbury, is going to be,
We should have done that first.
yeah, I know, discussing
Postpone it.
the lanternfly update. Yeah, exactly. Martha
Yeah.
attended a site walk yesterday with the Department of Agriculture, Martha, was it?
The Department of Agriculture and APHIS, which is a federal agency, was there as well. And yes, so earlier this year, spotted lanternfly is a new pest. It's a new insect pest that is present in Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York. And earlier this year, there were a few individuals discovered on the south part of Shrewsbury near Route 20 and 140. The Department of Agriculture responded and found some egg masses and removed them and worked with the landowner to remove the trees that the insects were on. And continued to monitor and set traps and try to see if there were any more that they could find. And it seemed like they had controlled that outbreak, that small population. However, a couple of weeks ago, somebody found a spotted lanternfly in generally the same area. So we're talking the intersection of Routes 20 and 140, that general area. And the Mass Department of Agriculture, MDAR, responded and has found quite a substantial population there. So it didn't work. We got this thing. And
So no migration to that area? They just appeared in that area? They're not in Grafton, they're not in Millbury?
they did find some in Grafton
Okay.
recently, but very, very close to this one. And they found a satellite population in Worcester that they think is also related to
So it's
this-
like,
this
they
one.
were imported in on something and then,
On something, and they often come in on nursery plants.
Yeah.
But they also seem to travel by vehicle because they get into people's cars. They will lay their eggs on anything, including in the wheel wells of your car. And as you know, we have a number of trucking businesses in that area, so there's a real potential for this to have come into that area and also to spread from that area. What the Department of Agriculture is asking for people to do now is to report any sightings of these bugs so that they can figure out where they are now and then can plan control measures. And the control measures, just to put this in context, will be nothing like the Asian longhorn beetle. There is no sense that they can eradicate this pest, but what they can do is knock it back so that it is not a nuisance or doesn't cause problems. There are two types of impacts. One is it impacts agricultural crops, especially grapes and hops, but it will also attack fruit trees. And then the second is that it can be just a nuisance. If the levels of infestation are so high, so many bugs, there are certain times of the year that they swarm and they will spoil picnics and outdoor events, essentially. So, so just, these things are big.
It's distinctive.
It's like this, it's this big. It's a couple inches long. So they're-
Hold up the thing, maybe the,
Well,
I don't know if they can catch it on the camera.
Yeah, I think,
If the camera can catch that. It's a very distinctive looking bug with a big, two red, they're not red eyes, but they almost look like red eyes.
they're
right?
red dots.
Red dots right
Red
near
dots,
the
but
eye
they look
sockets.
They look like devil bugs.
They're scary looking.
I know, they're pretty impressive. And they move pretty slowly, so you can catch them with your hand. But they're big enough that they'll startle you when they try to get away. So, they're beautiful. They're beautiful creatures. They're very well camouflaged against a tree. They're hard to see in a tree. They're easy to see on your hand. So we have a new resident among us.
So, Martha, if residents spot this bug in their area, who do they reach out to notify? Should they catch it and try to catch it in a jar?
So they should
And
take
then-
they should take a picture of it.
Okay.
I would say. And the Department of Agriculture has a form to fill out that includes, some contact information for you, where you saw it, when you saw it. And on this, it's massnrc.org/pests/SLF. This is also on the town website. So you can go to the town website to find where to report this, or you can just Google Mass Department of Agriculture, MDR, spotted lanternfly, and then report. So that's what they're asking people to do now. There are some lookalikes. I don't know what they are, but there are some, so do take a picture of it and send it in. Yeah, it's here.
Okay. Well, thanks,
Yeah.
Martha, for going and informing us about this bug. I think that brings us to the end of the night. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.